Kaloyan Popyanchev is suing fellow motorist Spencer Gilbert for car damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2084, Popyanchev versus Gilbert.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Popyanchev, you were driving in your car, 2008 BMW.
That's correct.
And that was on the 14th of November of
That is correct.
last year. Tell me what time of the day this accident happened.
It was approximately 3:15 p.m.
So daylight hours.
Yes.
And tell me where you were going.
I was going eastbound on Sunset Boulevard in Beverly Hills. I was driving
Eastbound on
Sunset Boulevard in Beverly Hills. I was driving in the right, so-called slow lane when I tried to make a right turn.
where?
It's a intersection. The name of the street is Palm Drive.
Is that intersection controlled by a light or stop sign?
No, there is no stop sign or a light.
At that intersection?
That is correct.
I assume somebody has a video or a photograph of that section that would demonstrate that there is no light. You do. Is there a light or a stop sign at that intersection?
No, Your Honor, there's not.
Did you put on your signal indicating a right turn?
Yes, I did.
How far from the corner?
I can't state distance, but it was approximately 5 seconds before I reached the intersection.
Was there traffic that day?
Yes.
A lot?
Very light. It was Sunday.
So far, Mr. Gilbert, is that correct, that there was light traffic on that day?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were traveling on a motor something called a Vespa, which is a small...
Small scooter, yes, Your Honor.
But motorized.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know about these things, does a Vespa have to be registered and have a license plate on it?
I do have
It's
a
yours.
license plate on the Reddit.
Okay, so your Vespa is registered as a motor vehicle, and you have a license plate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now tell me what happened, sir.
As I proceeded to make a right turn onto Palm Drive, I just heard an airflow. It was a big bang. It was an impact.
On your passenger side?
On my right passenger side, and I realized that there was a small motorcycle or a moped that hit my vehicle.
Hit your side. And you were the person riding that Vespa?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. May I see the damage to your car?
Yes.
Sarah Rose, get me the price of the 2008 BMW 7 Series.
Will do.
Thanks. What you're talking about is this damage, sir. Is that correct?
Yes, front passenger.
I see.
Yeah.
I've just made a circle. Can you see the circle that I've made?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And that is, Mr. Gilbert, where you hit him with your Vespa.
It's where he hit me with his car.
No, he can't hit you sideways, sir.
He sideswiped me.
He can't hit you sideways, sir. He can't slide into you. Now, whose ever fault this was, I'll try to figure it out. But you hit him because this is the area of impact. Cars don't go sideways, they go front. You have pictures of your Vespa?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Your Honor, based on a 100,000-mile BMW 7 Series, between $4,700 and $7,800 is about the range.
I just want to know, because I have to see what this kind of... He's suing for $10,000, which is ridiculous. That doesn't show me much, actually. Okay, so I can't see the front of your Vespa, sir. I assume that the front is the end that's damaged because I see the back.
Yeah, the front end was completely
just
collapsed.
A second. So the front
impact
of your Vespa was damaged because that's where you hit him with your Vespa.
No, Your
The
Honor,
back
that's
end
incorrect.
was not damaged, nor does it look like the sides are damaged. These are the pictures you gave me. The only thing I can't see is the front crushed end. Am I correct that I can't see the front crushed end? Okay.
Yes.
So now I'm telling you that based upon these photographs, yours and his, you hit his car. Okay, now that's the chart. Whose chart is that?
It's from the police report.
Great. Now, the police report doesn't show a bike lane there or any other lane. It shows that there's a car traveling in a car lane, and the Vespa hitting. See, he can't hit. You can hit. He can't hit you. Now, tell me, sir, why is it that you were driving where you were You were behind him initially.
No, Your Honor. I was traveling eastbound down Sunset, heading to work. He was right next to me. When we got to Palm, he turned into me, pushed me. I barely was able to keep control of my vehicle.
Is what you're telling me that your Vespa was never behind his? This you're not getting. I want you to get this right out of your mind. Your whole car isn't worth $10,000. Let's be serious. I don't have all day. Do you have a bill?
And later today.
And I know you're dying to tell me that there was noise there, that you couldn't live there, that it was terrible. Well, that's what happens when you live in a place with a whole bunch of other people.
Kaloyan Papionchev claims fellow motorist Spencer Gilbert owes for car damage after hitting him with his Vespa.
Is what you're telling me that your Vespa was never behind his?
No, I was never behind his vehicle.
Do we have any other video?
I do have a dash camera video of the.
May I see it, please? Play it again, please. Start from the beginning. So let's go slowly. Okay. Well, it's clear to me, Mr. Gilbert, that you came up behind him. Just go back a little bit. You weren't right next to him because...
I was next to him because as he slows down to make his turn, that's when he makes contact with me. I was right next to him the entire time.
Impossible. May I see the police report, please?
Yes, there's actually 2 police reports.
May I see them? Was anybody given a summons on that day? Nobody. Neither party was given a summons. Is that correct?
Not that I know of, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is the narrative after witnesses were questioned, and the opinion based upon the witnesses' testimony and yours, and the fact that the police officer actually heard in the video the clicking of the turn signal indicating a right turn approximately 5 seconds before the right turn was executed according to the police officer as a result of viewing the cam that he had, the video, that he was making a slow right turn. He had turned on his signal approximately 5 seconds before, and you were coming up on him on your right. And it says, based upon the video footage, I determined that the first car, and that would be his, should not have been placed at fault for this collision because he activated his turn signal and made a safe turn to go southbound on Park Drive. The fault of the collision is on the part of Mr. Gilbert for violating 21755 CVC, which states in part that the driver of a vehicle may overtake and pass another vehicle on the right only under conditions permitting that movement safely. I'm reading you the police report. Do you have another police report?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Prior to this or after this one?
This is the only police report that I know of.
Oh.
I wasn't aware there was 2.
Well, this was a supplementary police report. What is the date of yours?
All I have is what my lawyers gave me.
Oh, well, I'm going to show you this one, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And this one was after viewing the cam.
Yes, Your Honor, my police report predates his.
Predates it. Well, that's after the officers looked at the dash cam, heard the signal, and saw you coming up from behind. I'll take it back now. I've seen the damage on your car, sir.
Yes.
Which, while I wouldn't like to have it on my car that's 14 years old, it is on your car. It's not worth $10,000. Your whole car isn't worth $10,000, sir. So if you want to show me a reasonable estimate for fixing that, I'll be more than happy to look at it.
Yes, I do. And this estimate was given to me by the only body shop that is authorized by BMW.
Well, find another body shop for a 14-year-old car. I'm certainly not going to consider giving you anything near the value of your total car for something that is on the door of one side of the car. Have you had the car fixed, sir?
I had the entire door replaced, but it's still...
Replaced by whom?
By a body shop.
Good.
Yeah.
And if you had the whole door replaced, you must have a bill. This you're not getting. I want you to get this right out of your mind. Your whole car isn't worth $10,000. Let's be serious. I don't have all day. Do you have a bill for the door that you replaced from a body shop, which is what I said a moment ago?
No, I do not have it with me. The vehicle is still due paint and dents and scratches repair.
Well, they're going to fix the car, and if they can fix the car for $2,000, have it fixed. That's my judgment. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Certainly not happy about it.
I'm happy. It is something.
The problems that this gentleman's caused my life.
It happened in about 2 seconds.
I was like riding right next to the dude and he just turned into me and I went into the wall and that was pretty much it.
I had to call 911 immediately because I wasn't sure if he's dead.
Because of what he did, I wasn't able to go to work for 2 weeks. I lost 2 of my jobs.
First thing to do is you call 911 and then deal with, the rest of the circumstances.
One theme that we see far too often is plaintiffs coming here or to any court asking for a large sum of money, in this case $10,000 for a car that wasn't even worth $6,000. And instead of showing us an estimate of fairy tale land of what was going to fix it, show me a receipt for what you paid to fix the damage.
Yeah, he did fix the damage.
He fixed the damage already, replaced the whole door. You don't have a receipt for that. You don't have a bill. You don't have a nothing, which leads me to believe that it was a lot less expensive than $10,000. So I thought your judgment was generous, given that he had no proof. I would have said goodbye.
Well, he did damage the car. Not that I'm going into history, but as one who has, on occasion, hit a stationary object, even allegedly hit a stationary object, and get a little nick on a bumper on a car. It's expensive to fix a car. So he had a car that looked in perfect condition. It wasn't after it was hit. He's entitled to have it look like what it looked like before.
I just felt there was sort of a bait and switch with the $10,000 estimate, but I already got it replaced.
Fixed. I think that he said that. I think that he said that unintentionally.
I also think he did.
It's okay.
Won't get one over on us.
No.
Case 2090, Oquendo versus Villarreal. All parties, please step forward.
Amber Oquendo is suing her former tenant, Nancy Villarreal, for unpaid rent.
Miss Oquendo, you own a home.
Yes.
How large is the home?
It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and approximately 1,700 square feet.
When did you purchase the home?
2018.
Can I ask you what the cost was?
$225,000.
And you live there in the house, just you, with whom?
I don't live in that house. That's my rental.
You bought it as a rental? Somebody was playing their music loud. It was a problem for you.
Yes.
You asked them to be quiet.
Yes,
you
Your
told her it was a problem.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a kerfuffle. I don't know what happened. You want to tell me?
Amber Oquendo claims her former tenant, Nancy Villarreal, owes for unpaid rent. Nancy is countersuing for her security deposit.
Now, you bought it as a rental? You bought it as a business?
Originally, I purchased it and I lived in one room. My kids shared a room and I rented 2 rooms until I was able to establish basically a history of being a landlord. And I then purchased another home and I live in my own residence, and that one is fully a rental as of now.
And also a resident of that home are your parents?
Yes, they are in the master.
And you have another tenant there?
Yes, there are a few other tenants.
Tell me who.
So I have one tenant who has asked not to be identified by name, but he is in one room that I have marked as room number 2. And then I have another tenant who's in room number 3. And then Nancy was in room 4, and there's now a new tenant in that room.
Okay, this is what it's about. The defendant was a tenant of yours. It didn't work out. And it was a short tenancy. I think it lasted no more than a month.
Yeah, right.
Is that right? June of this year?
Yes, Your Honor.
It didn't work out. She left. It is your claim that she left owing you a month's rent. And I assume from your paperwork that the month's rent was $774.
So it was $650, and then the $774, the remaining difference was just for being served and then court costs. But month rent was $650.
$650. And when the defendant moved in the beginning of June, did she sign a lease?
Yes, and I'm just going to correct you. Sorry, she moved in May 7th, so just wanted to correct that. But yes, she did sign a lease.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have a copy of your lease, Miss Villarreal?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So it's a month-to-month tenancy. It's an at-will with 30 days written notice. Okay. According to the lease, there was a security deposit of $650.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the defendant pay that when she moved in?
Yes, she did.
Okay, because that's your counterclaim. You say you want your security deposit back.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume from reading both of your complaint and answer that this turned out to be not a happy tenancy. You don't live there on a full-time basis. The defendant did live there for a short period of time. You moved in, rented a room, and you gave her $650, and you moved in on May 7th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct. And you moved out on what date?
I moved out on July the 7th, July the 10th.
So you were there for 2 months?
No, I was there for 1 month.
May to June, June, July. May 7th.
I moved in I believe it was June because I moved out July the 7th.
Our lease was signed on May 7th, so I know that.
Yes, the term of the lease is beginning May 7th. That's the term of the lease, according to this. So I don't care when you moved in.
Okay.
The term of the lease was May 7th on a month-to-month basis. So you were there from May 7th to July 10th. So you were there for 2 months.
Okay.
We're going to get into the whys, wherefores in a moment, but did you pay the month of May?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pay the month of
Yes,
May?
ma'am.
Good. Did you pay the month of June?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And you lived there until July 7th?
No, I actually lived there until...
You just told me July 10th, as a matter of fact. Whitney's going to tell me what date you gave as your move-out date. You said it was July 10th.
She said, I moved out on July the 10th.
Okay, July, and it was, yes. July
So you
10th.
were there for 2 months?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. If you're there for 2 months and you only paid 1 month's rent?
Yes.
So far, you owe her 1 month's rent. Did you return her security deposit?
Yes.
Did you receive your security deposit?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much?
$650.
Okay, so you have no counterclaim. The counterclaim is for your security deposit. The rest of it is nonsense. You moved out, you wanted to pay your moving costs, your hotel fees, and everything else. That's ridiculous. Okay, so if you've received your security deposit now, what you owe her is a month's rent, which is $650. And I know you're dying to tell me that there was noise there, that you couldn't live there, that it was terrible. Well, that's what happens when you live in a place with a whole bunch of other people. Did you look at this room before you moved in?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay, so you went to the house. When you went to see the house, Amber was there. She introduced herself as the landlord. That's
Yes.
what it says here.
Yes.
And she let you know that she wasn't in the house, that her parents were in the
Right.
house as tenants, but she wasn't in the house.
Yes.
And you moved in and somebody was making noise. Somebody was playing their music loud. It was a problem for you.
Yes.
You asked them to be quiet.
Yes,
You
Your
told her it was a problem.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a kerfuffle. I don't know what happened. You want to tell me?
Yes, Your Honor. I am a federal employee, Your Honor. And when I signed this lease back in May, it states there, and I'm also in recovery, Your Honor, and it states very clearly in the lease that there is absolutely no smoking on the premises or no drugs on the premises, Your Honor. There was absolutely marijuana being smoked in the house. And right after I brought that to her attention, I then received a 30-day termination notice.
Okay.
Because I absolutely could not live in that house anymore with my job. I felt it was not a safe place for me.
Where did you go?
Where
Just
did
a
I
second.
go?
Just a second. Is that your son?
This is my son.
Okay. Does he live in the area? I know you called him and he came and helped you move.
Yes,
Correct?
ma'am.
Who does he live with?
My son, he
Yeah.
rents a room with roommates.
So he has roommates?
Yes.
Tell me where you went when you left. You didn't get a 3-day notice to quit. You got a 30-day notice from her that she was not renewing the lease pursuant to this.
Right.
You chose to leave in 3 days.
Absolutely.
That was your choice.
Because-
you had 30 days to stay, and you had a month-to-month tenancy. Okay? You chose to leave. So where did you go?
I got a U-Haul. I didn't really have a place at the time to go, but my boy's grandmother offered her place to me, so I stayed there for a couple weeks. She said, you pay $180, I'll let you stay here for a couple weeks until I was able to find another place, Your Honor.
And then you did.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Great. Okay. So your security deposit you have, and she doesn't have her month's rent, which is $650. Are we done here? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $650. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I am not aware of anyone using marijuana in my house.
There was marijuana being smoked in the house.
My dad says that he's not smelling it, so I guess I can't really attest to the legitimacy of that.
It was not a safe place for me to be.
You know, some people don't realize, Sarah, that if you leave a premises that you have lived in, it's like going to a restaurant and ordering a steak and then delivering the steak, you're taking a bite and say, you know, I really don't like that steak, and finishing it. and then telling the waiter you're not going to pay for the steak. I always say you ate the steak. If you're a tenant and you find the living conditions such that, you find it untenable to live there, you have a prerogative of changing your residence, but you don't live there for 2 months and only pay for 1, and then make excuses because you ate.
Sandra Duenas. He's suing exotic pet store owner Brian Chow for money from a snake breeding business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case number 212, Duenas versus Cho.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duenas, it looks to me from your papers that you decided to go into a business with someone.
Yes.
With whom?
With the defendant, Brian Chow.
And you know him how?
He's a family friend.
And you know what his business is?
Yes.
What is his business?
He currently sells reticulated pythons, snakes, exotic animals, monitors, lizards.
And you like those things?
My ex-boyfriend did.
Did you?
I was more for the investment part.
Okay.
I was the investor at the time.
At the time you reached out to this family friend who was in the exotic snake business, your idea was to create a business.
No, Your Honor. It was actually the defendant's idea.
I don't care whose idea it was. Your idea was to create a business with your ex-boyfriend.
I agreed to the business, but it wasn't our idea.
Whether you agreed to the business or not, you invested money in the business.
Yes.
Which means that unless there's something wrong with you, and I see that there is not, you wanted to go into business with the defendant.
Yes.
So let's be easy.
Okay.
And at the time that you wanted to go into business with the defendant, I'll get to what the nature of that business was in a second. I know it had something to do with that wonderful-looking snake. You had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And the boyfriend liked snakes.
Yes.
And you went along with the ride.
Yes.
What month and year were you still with the boyfriend when you decided to go into the business, which you will explain to me?
Back in November of 2019.
So right before COVID.
Yes.
What was your boyfriend doing at the time?
He was working at an airport.
And he and Mr. Cho were friends?
Yes.
How long had you known him?
2-3 weeks, Your Honor.
Where did you meet him?
He came into my store and acquired
I didn't ask anything. That's how you met him?
Yes.
I'm going to get through this case and get this lovely thing out of the courtroom as quickly as I possibly can. Well, some people find them exotic and gorgeous. I find them a little bit squirmy. So in November 2019, boyfriend and you decided to go into the business. Explain the business that you invested in.
I invested on 5 reticulated pythons, 1 male and 4 females. That was the original deal.
And what were you going to do with them?
Mr. Brian Chow was going to have it in his shop, and together we were going to breed them and make a profit out of them.
So the intention was never for you to take these pythons to your residence?
No.
And you understood that? No.
They're buying the snake, Your Honor.
Okay. How much were the 5 snakes?
In total, it was $10,000, plus the feeding and the cages that he claimed that the snakes needed.
Was it your agreement that for $10,000, Miss Duenas and the boyfriend were going to buy 1 male snake and 4 females?
They decided to buy 2 snakes.
Well, when was that decision made, sir?
A week after I met him, because
When you went into the shop, did you ultimately decide on 1 male, 1 female?
No, so how it is, Your Honor, is he knew my ex-boyfriend prior to the business 5 years ago. He sold him a exotic Australian monitor lizard.
Okay, what I want you to tell me is, did there come a time when the arrangement changed, so instead of 1 male and 4 females, you were supposed to get 1 male and 1 female?
No, Your Honor. The whole way it was supposed to be 1 male and 4 females.
Do you have any sort of a receipt for that?
We have Instagram conversations.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
One male, 4 females. The guy's asking $15,000 for all, and then he says, I'll drop it to 12. Then somebody, I don't have 12 now. I just spent a lot on my monitor. Let's go the rest. Okay, so you say, I don't have that money now. He says, I'm getting 16 lace monitors. You remember that discussion? And then that's a big investment for me right now. I'm saving up to get a house, but I'm down to breed my monitor with any of your monitors. Keep going. So far, I don't have a contract. And then somebody says, no, you pay half and I pay half. Who wrote that?
He did.
No, you pay half and I pay half. Then you say 6,000. I'm short 6,000. I want to get them, but I'm low on cash till next month. And that's from you. That's from the reptile.
I have to see it, Your Honor.
Okay. If I invest half with you, what will be my return and in how long? Think about it. Will be the baby's mix price. JTK Reptiles, that's you. Somebody's on their way. That's you and your boyfriend?
Yes. We were on our way to give him the money.
And how much money were you going to give him?
We gave him the first time $6,000 and then $4,000, a total of $10,000.
You received that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you purchase with the $10,000?
If you look at the message from there, what she showed you is they pay half of the 5 snake. Means they get 2 of the snake, and I get 2 of the snake. They've been lying to you guys since day one. They want to purchase 2 snake. Then I told them, like, if you look at the message, I can use my male to breed it to your female. It's an investment for you guys, not for us. It's no us. It's not with them at all.
Mr. Cho, were they supposed to take possession of the snakes?
They're supposed to pick up the snake. That's why they come to the store with a
Which snakes were they supposed to take possession of?
One right here and one out there.
Is that a male or a female?
This is the female.
Has she had babies yet?
No, I don't breed her because she don't belong to me.
And how old is she?
Right now, she should be about 6 years old, going 7.
How long do they live?
Over 30 to 40 years, depends on how you take care of them, like I take care of them.
And there's another one outside the courtroom that's the same as this one. Also a female?
Yes.
And you gave them the $10,000. He acknowledges the $10,000. So we have a verbal contract that you were going to pay for some snakes. He was going to order the snakes for you, which he did. And that was accomplished, and the payment for the snakes was done on what date, the first payment?
Approximately in November of 2019.
And when was the next $4,000 payment?
The same month, I would say like a week.
Good. And when did you order the snakes, Mr. Chow?
Right after I get yeah, because I cannot just acquire the animal without the payment.
Okay, so now you've got the payment and you order the animals.
Yes.
On what date do they arrive?
2 days after, they're FedEx delivered to my shop.
And when did you notify the plaintiffs that they were there?
The day that they came, I tell them the snake is
So it was also in November, sometime in November. And when did they arrive?
The snake arrived?
No. The plaintiff and the boyfriend.
They arrived a week after I notify the boyfriend.
Okay. Now, Ms. Duenas, a week later you went to the shop. And what happened when you went to the shop? Now he's got $10,000 and he's got 2 snakes.
I just want to clarify, Your Honor, that we even gave him money for the tanks because here in the conversations it says that he can't continue having them in tubs. So he needs us to give him money to invest to buy the tanks to house the snakes. So our original plan was for him to keep the snakes because he has the shop. We, at the time, lived in an apartment. He was well aware of this, that we couldn't have big snakes in our apartment.
He says no, you say yes. I'm not sure how I can resolve that. I'm trying to simplify this contract. And you said you recorded all this?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Watch out. Come back away. I told you, don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money.
I don't care. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out.
Cassandra Duenas claims exotic pet store owner Brian Chow owes her money for a snake breeding business. Brian says Cassandra changed her mind about the business after he purchased the snakes.
Okay. Part of the contract was fulfilled because you paid him. Then he ordered the snakes. Second part was fulfilled. I want you to tell me what happened when you went to see the snakes. You say to see them. He says to pick them up a week later.
So when we went to the shop.
Who
What
went?
led us to
Who went?
My ex-boyfriend and I. What led us to there is because after he obtained the snakes, he was not reaching out back to us. He was
Just a week later.
Yes.
You went to the shop. He notified you that the snakes were there. There's no question about that. Now, you went to the shop for what purpose?
Because he switched it and then he said it was 2 snakes when originally the plan was 1 male and 4 females. That 1 male was going to breed with the 4. So right out the back, he lied to us what our agreement was here, that he clearly texted us and said 4 males and 1 female. So it was 5 snakes. So we went to the shop.
Yeah, but there was a problem there with pricing. In the Instagram messages, a suggestion, because some of the texts were unavailable, he said originally they were $15,000. And then there was some discussion of $12,000. And then there was some discussion of $6,000. He says he'll pay half and you pay half. And there, I can imagine that there was some sort of an agreement for you to keep the snakes if you were going to pay half. You were always supposed to give them the snakes. Why would you pay half?
Then they get the 2 of the snake, and I get the 2 of the other snake. It's 5 of them. And the one that we're gonna pretty much, they can have it if they want it, or I can use it when I need it.
You mean the male?
Yes.
So that was the business. Anyway, you went there, and what happened?
So I went in recording. My ex-boyfriend told me, hey, record the
Don't tell me what your ex-boyfriend told you.
Okay.
Just tell me you went in and what happened.
We went in there and we asked him, hey, we agreed on 5 snakes. Now you switched up and you said now it's 2 snakes. First you told us it was $15,000, then $12,000. You were playing games with us the whole time. And at this point, after a week later that he said that he got the snakes, then he told us it was 2 snakes. At that point, we were upset because we had planned and we had counted with 5 snakes. That's why we gave him that ridiculous amount of money. And basically, we didn't want nothing else to do with him. We wanted our money back. And that's what we went for, our money back.
Just a second. Yes. So you walked in wanting your money back?
Yes.
Do you have any text messages, Instagram messages, suggesting that before you got there, you had said to him, we changed our mind, we don't want to be in business with you, we want our money back?
No.
Nothing?
No. He wasn't reaching out, sorry, Your Honor, he wasn't reaching out to us. He was sending him video calls, he was calling him through text message, my ex-boyfriend.
I don't care. You paid the money, he got snakes. The question is, you think there's supposed to be more than 2? He says 2. More were more money. So the ultimate agreement was for 2. So what happened when you went there? You're there with your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you say, I want my money back. And he says?
He says, I don't have the money here. I have 2 snakes here.
Are you telling me that he didn't call you and say your snakes are in? Is that what you're suggesting? Do you have an invoice for these snakes, Mr. Chow?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the invoice for the snakes. By the way, your boyfriend has other of these exotic creatures. Is that right?
To the people that I get them.
What kind of exotic creatures does he have?
One that he sold him, an Australian water monitor from the Philippines.
And?
He has 2 rhino iguanas, a pair. He has a, I don't know the name, but it changes colors. Mr.
Chow?
Yes.
This is a wire transfer, May 24th, 2018. And the date of this wire transfer is August of 2018.
And those are for the lace monitor that
Are these lace monitors?
Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor, these are not lace monitors. These are reticulated pythons. These are not monitors. Monitors are lizards. These are snakes.
Lace monitor bell face.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not that.
No, Your Honor.
Well, these are useless.
Yes, but that's connected to the rest of what they did.
What does that have to do with these 2 snakes? What I want to see is when you purchased these 2 snakes.
Yeah, I don't have it, Your Honor.
Well, get it. What do you mean you don't have it?
I left it at home. I'm so sorry.
Well, what'd you bring these for?
Those are the time that they both got arrested when they went to my shop.
Yeah, but you now have those back, right?
Yes.
You have those back. So if you had to take documents, why didn't you take the documents for the snakes in question? The lace monitor lizards aren't in question. You have them back. They may have taken them. They were arrested, and you finally got them back. So I don't understand that.
I just mistaken grabbed the wrong paper.
Well, Mr. Chow, do you deal with these people regularly, that you buy snakes from them regularly?
Not really. It depends on the size of the animal and depends what kind of animal.
Well, you have the date of purchase someplace, Mr. Chow, and I don't want you to waste my time.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's why I just said I don't have it, Your Honor.
Did they purchase that kind of snake?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
It was 5 snakes, Your Honor.
Don't give me 5. That type of snake.
Oh, yes, the reticulated python, yes.
And the one that's outside is the same, correct?
Yes.
And you did not purchase baby snakes.
No.
You wanted full-grown snakes because they were a business. You wanted them able to be... breeding. Okay. Should have brought the paperwork. And you went in there that day in November because you had changed your mind.
Yes, and on top... Yes.
Because you had changed your mind.
Yes.
That's the answer. You had changed your mind. You can give me a whole bunch of excuses, and you told him you changed your mind, you want your money back. And he said no, because I ordered the snakes, and I got them in, and they're yours. Contract is completed. I'm merely holding your property. And then there was a kerfuffle. And tell me about the kerfuffle.
The issue was that it was going back to what I was saying is, then we asked him as well, can we have, like, receipt? How much did you really pay for them?
No, that's not your business. That's not your business, how much you really paid for them. He made a deal. You paid him. If he got them for $2,000 and you paid him $10,000, that's nothing. The kerfuffle, let's draw this down to its most simple English. Mm-hmm. You wanted your money back, and you wanted to cancel this contract.
Yes, it's just when we arrived, those weren't the snakes that we ordered. These were the breed of it, is the ones that he was putting here on Instagram, which I have, which is not those. So we ordered something and we got something else. So
is what you're telling me, you went there to pick up your... Because now it's changed. You went there to pick up your snakes. Mm-hmm. When you got there, they turned out to be a different...
It's breed. It's like the...
Pythons, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They're pythons, but it was a different kind of python. Mm-hmm. Now you're telling me because it was a different python, you wanted your money back.
Yes, because it wasn't what we paid for. It's like we paid for a Ferrari and we got a Toyota, basically. It's basically
You know nothing about pythons, so... You're taking your cues from your boyfriend because that's his strong suit. Is it yours as well?
No, I'm just the investor.
Right. So your boyfriend had a conversation with him and said, those aren't the snakes that I ordered.
Yes.
Okay. And I want my money back.
Yes.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. And when he broke the glass, where did he take them?
He put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's fine. That's a co-conspirator.
Cassandra Duenas is accusing exotic pet store owner Brian Chow of wrongfully keeping money for a snake breeding business. Brian says he fulfilled their agreement and claims Cassandra stole property from his store.
And you said you recorded all this?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. You just press play.
Which one?
Oh, right here. And then you press that.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
You guys just want to do the money back?
Yeah. The 10,180 in total, and then money on top of that for lending me the money and everything.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because we didn't see this coming. You just kept on giving us a runaround and a runaround.
Oh, no, what?
About the mail. Remember that?
No, that's why I'm waiting for the mail to be delivered. I don't have the mail.
Yeah, but remember you had told us that the guy had it because he had to leave and he had to get out because he has surgery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We gave you the money right there and then. You don't understand what mission we had to go
I
through.
didn't know. I don't mind getting you guys your money back, but I don't have cash right now. You guys caught me by surprise.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to do it today though. Like we need our money today.
If you want it right now, I don't have it.
We told you we want to do business correct, and you just keep on giving us another day and another day.
You told us as soon as we give you the money, the snake was gonna be here.
Yeah, it's not about me, it's the guy. It's not me. I'm just buying the snake from different guy.
And then another thing where you messed up, you said 5 snakes for 6,000 and you come at me with 4 and you wasted my money.
Yeah, and I told you that he gave me only 4 snakes, the big giant.
Yeah, and why would you waste money if I told you to get the 5 snakes?
If you worry about the last one, I can pay for it. It's a meal that we don't need.
But I have to do all this, so I have to get like this for you to do that?
No, bro.
How can I trust you now?
Bro, the 4 snake is right here.
I'm gonna go get something.
What's wrong with you, bro? I'm just asking you. Let's talk.
No, we're not gonna talk. I told you don't with me.
I don't call with you, bro.
Dog.
Why? What's
that's
wrong?
gonna be mine.
Because we gave you a lot of money. We're talking about over $10,000, and you're just giving us the runaround. First, you told us
this
5
is what
snakes.
we can do. I'll take, and when you get the money, I'll give it back. Yeah, female too.
Oh, no.
Oh no? All right. Well,
come on, bro. You're looking at a 15 grand.
I told you don't play with me.
I don't play with you.
You don't even have the money right now.
Open them up, man.
I got the half of the money.
Open them up.
I'm trying to talk to you, bro.
No, there's no more talking because we gave you the money right here and then. That's unprofessional. You're trying to scam us, and you don't do that to people like that.
I didn't. How did I scam you?
Before I open it.
You're telling me that you don't have the money.
I have half of the money because I'm waiting for the snake. Bro, if you guys gonna get arrested. If you get
There's
snake.
no arrested. We're just getting what you took from us. Over $10,000.
I'm trying to talk to you.
$10,000.
Are you gonna open it? I'm trying to.
No, we try to talk to you. You're telling us you're gonna have the money. I have everything in video.
I don't care. You can record me, bro.
Alright, so are you gonna
You
open
don't
it?
play with people's money. You can call
You owe me
whoever you
over
want.
$15,000.
This is 15 grand.
We don't care.
Can you call a cop, please?
No. Alright, watch out. Back away. I told you, don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money.
I don't care. Get out. 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 Get out.
Let them alone.
He owes us money. He owes us money. He owes us money.
They're gonna deal with it. We don't believe.
Now I'll play that video, please. That's your boyfriend breaking into the...
Yes.
Yes. And when he broke the glass and took out whatever lizards he took out with him, where did he take them? You were still with him?
Yes, he put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's all right. That's fine. That's a co-conspirator. Ultimately, the lizards that you took were returned to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it seems, Mr. Chow, at the beginning of this case, I must acknowledge to you that I was sympathetic to your position, that they had ordered snakes. You ordered them, you got them.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then the contract is completed. Uncross your arms.
No, I'm so sorry.
But it's clear from the tape that the plaintiff played for me that you acknowledged that you did not fulfill your end of the contract, that you were blaming your inability to fulfill your end of the contract on some third party. Is that what I heard in the tape? I mean, you know, my hearing's not really acute, but that's what you said. I have no control. I can give you back half your money, but I can't give you back all your money. So the contract was not complete.
It was complete because they supposed to get only 2 snakes.
I didn't see anywhere where it says just 2 snakes. There was a whole bunch of conversation there about the male snake, and you were supposed to deliver to them the male snake. And you said, I don't have that money now, but I can get that money for you. I can give you the first money. I don't have the second money. It was clear that the contract was not complete unless you have something to show me that it was. But what I heard, it was not. That doesn't mean that Ms. Duenas has the right to break your property and to steal property that belongs to you. What they do is they come into a court and say, you have my money. The contract was not fulfilled. I want my money back. That's what you do. Are you in the business of breeding snakes for your store?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if we were to go on the internet now,
Yes, Your Honor.
how much would one of those snakes, which is 6 or 7 years old, according to you, sell for?
Right now, this size, you're looking at it about 6,000 to 7,000 each one.
But if you trolled the internet of people who actually like those creatures in their house, for whatever reason, if you put up that snake on the internet for sale, how fast would it take you to sell it?
I'll say like about a month and a half.
They're rare.
Yes.
That right? That's what you're saying.
It's rare and is just not a lot of people will acquire that much money.
Even though they can sell the babies. And how many babies do they have?
In a year, they can do from 30 to 50.
And each one of the 30 to 50, you can sell for $3,500.
Yes.
I suggest you do that. She gets her $10,000 back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very happy, and I'm happy that she was able to see herself that the defendant got caught in multiple lies.
They're just a customer.
He wasn't truthful since the beginning. Ever since we invested.
They bought a snake. I would want to give their snake, but they don't want to take it.
And it's very sad how nowadays you can't trust in anybody.
I think one great lesson that a lot of people can take away from that is you have to know the business that you're investing in. I can appreciate she was sort of doing it for her boyfriend and he had the knowledge about the exotic animals, but that's her money at the end of the day. And if you're going to put your own hard-earned money on the line, it should be a business that you at least put in the time to learn about.
To understand.
Exactly. So that you don't have to rely on somebody else to make the right decisions.
Who's going to be gone tomorrow?
Exactly. Exactly.
And your money
who potentially could, and then you're left on your own, having to sue and navigate a field that you really know nothing about.
Smart. And it was also an example of a contract that was not fully executed. I actually thought when I started the case that there was an offer, an acceptance, you performed, paid the money, got the snakes, and then you can't change your mind. Once you get it, you say, well, I changed my mind, but that's not what happened.
Nope.
And her video demonstrated that that's not what happened because Mr. Chow started to waft. Well, it's not my fault I don't have your mail. It's another guy, and I would give it to you, but I can't give it to you as soon as I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So he did not deliver on the contract. So I had very little compulsion other than to say, you don't have to take the snake and you get your money back.
Yeah.
Anyway, done. Yeah. And the snake is gone.
Miss Shara Garrett is suing her former friend, Michael Kodia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, for a personal loan, car damages, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2056, Garrett versus Kodio scenario.
Thank you. Miss Garrett, this gentleman, Michael Kodia, is that
correct?
Kodia?
Yes.
You and Mr. Kodia have been lifelong friends, according to what I read in the complaint. Lifelong, you're both very young. How do you know him?
Well, we used to ride bikes together. His mom used to also braid my hair when I was a child every Sunday.
But you and Mr. Kodia were never involved in any relationship other than just friendship?
No.
And Mr. Kodia, Miss Serrano is currently your girlfriend?
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
She had been your girlfriend and been living with you for a while, and you have a child together?
Yes, correct. Well, she's currently pregnant. We're expecting, they're expecting.
Great. You had a fight with Miss Serrano, and that was around June of this year?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was a substantial enough fight that Miss Serrano left the home, and she left the home with your child. And how old is your child?
As I was saying, we are expecting.
So you don't have a child together?
She's 6 months pregnant, currently.
Okay. So you just living, and she left?
Correct.
At about the same time, Miss Garrett, your friend, needed a place to stay.
I wouldn't say needed a place to stay, but...
What would you say?
It was more like, I kind of had a clue, like she had a place to stay, but it was just one of those situations.
No, look over here. Look over here. Okay.
Sorry.
Now, Mr. Kodia, I want you to understand there are very few stories that are new under the sun. I want you to really understand that. I have children. I have grown grandchildren, boys and girls. I've seen all the movies that I want to see about romance and guys. So your girlfriend leaves you.
Yes.
Yes. And would it be fair to say that you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay with you?
Yes, it would be fair.
Had you ever invited her to come and stay with you before?
No, I have not. Not in the current apartment that I'm staying in right now, no.
Had you in another apartment?
No.
So the answer is you had never invited your friend to come and stay with you before?
No.
Interesting. So on June 27th, she left. On what date did you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay in your apartment?
June 16th.
June 16th?
Yes.
So 11 days before Miss Serrano left?
Miss Serrano left about a week prior to her coming.
What date did you leave, Miss Serrano? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I recall it was the end of, or mid-June of this year, I would say. I had personal things going on, so I really wasn't, you know.
Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to ask you why you left.
We had a falling out. Me and Michael had a falling out.
Yes. What did you and Michael have a falling out about?
Well, at the time, my mother was in the hospital, so that it was a disagreement surrounding having to move back home and take care of her in the household.
And
that was pretty much it.
Well, what did he say? He said he didn't want you to, and you...
Yeah, he pretty much, long story short, didn't want me to move back to my mother's house, so that caused, you know...
Okay, so he wanted you to stay?
Yes. Yes, he wanted me to stay, but, you know...
He wanted you to stay. Now, did you know that the two of you were expecting at that time in June?
Yes.
So he knew that you were expecting a baby, that you wanted to go back to your mother's house because she was ill and you wanted to help take care of her. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And despite the fact that he said, don't go, you left?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it would be fair to say that he was annoyed?
Yes.
Oh, I'm getting this whole picture now. It's so easy. Okay. And about a week later, he invites this attractive young lady who's been a friend of his for a long time, a non-romantic friend, to move into the apartment.
Yes.
You know that that was nasty, right?
Oh, no, yes, I know.
You know that was nasty.
That was an agreement between them.
No.
And, you know.
But you know that that was a sort of a nasty thing to do.
Oh, no, I'm fully aware. Yes, yes ma'am.
I just want you to know what you're sort of dealing with.
Yes,
you know.
I'm fully aware of what I'm dealing with. Thank you, though. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so, Mr. Codia, in order to sort of get even a little bit, you invite Miss Garrett to come and move in. No rent or anything, because you didn't have an agreement to pay rent. You weren't going to pay rent or anything, and you moved in. And you moved in on?
I moved in on the 1st.
On the 1st of?
July.
July 1st. Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to come back to you because this is such a fascinating story.
Oh, Lord.
Such a fascinating story. And he deserves to get dumped on a little bit.
Oh, there's more where that came from, yes. I said that's more where that came from, yes.
Okay. And between the time you left and July 1st, when Miss Garrett was invited to come to stay at the house, were you in communication with Mr. Codia?
Yes. I would say like every day or every other day we spoke, you know, arguments, you know how it is.
Yeah. Well, you know, first of all, you're pregnant and you have emotions, and then you're taking care of family members and whatever. And so I got it. Did he tell you that Miss Garrett was moving in?
Yes.
When?
I would say I found out around like the 27th, 28th.
Of June?
Yes.
Tell me how you found out that she was moving in.
I believe at that point she was already moved in at that point.
Okay. And what made you think that?
Just based off of how the conversation went or how he told me.
Tell me what he told you.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean.
I'm sorry.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance on him.
Not getting on the food.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too, wow.
I'm waiting for it to come over here.
Yes.
Nashira Garrett claims her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, owe for a personal loan and an assault.
Tell me what he told you. I'm curious. I want to know.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean. That's what I was told.
Okay, did he tell you who?
Who it was. I never met her.
But he told you who it was?
Yes, he told me who it was.
And that made you, I would probably guess, a little annoyed and unhappy.
I mean, I was annoyed.
I would be annoyed.
I mean, I was annoyed because I had personal things going on, but in between that time before actually realizing that she was living at my apartment, I actually had a brief interaction with her. I met her at a park. I met her. So...
Between the time you moved out?
Yes.
Okay. Was it you met because you contacted each other, or you met by accident?
We met because me and Michael just, you know, had a conversation to have had at that point in time. I'm assuming she was there in the area, so he just wanted to kill two birds with one stone. He said, do you want to meet the person, you know, who's there, who I'm living with, and that's how it went.
And was it cordial meeting?
Yes, it was.
You met her, she met you?
Yes.
And he said, I just want you to meet the lovely-looking girl that I'm now living with because you went home to take care of your mother.
I guess so, if you wouldn't have put it...
Yes, he...
Don't forget.
This is what your case is about. First, you claim that you loaned Mr. Kodia $750 for rent.
Yes.
And you did that because he said once Miss Serrano moved out, she wasn't paying her rent. He was short on rent. That's what I read here. Mr. Kodia has a whole different story. He said while he told you that he was a little short on rent and he was going to have to get a third job.
That's not true.
Just a second. You jumped in and offered to give him $750. That's what you wrote here. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. Kodia, did you tell Miss Serrano that somebody was moving into the apartment just to cook and clean? That's what she says.
Yes, that's exactly my words. Exactly my words, yeah.
That's exactly what you told her.
Correct.
You didn't tell Miss Serrano, the soon-to-be mother of your child, that you had a roommate who was paying rent.
I did not.
Miss Serrano, what kind of work were you doing when you were living together in June?
I had a work-from-home position, will still currently do as a Medicaid specialist.
Were you sharing rent with him?
Yes. Everything was 50-50.
Did you pay him any rent in July?
No, I did not.
Did you pay him rent in June?
Yes.
So you paid him the $750. That was your share of the rent? Is that what your share was?
That was my share of the rent. June was already paid for. July I did not pay because I did not believe I was going to be there.
Okay. Tell me what he said to you that caused you to give him this $750.
Well, he texted me one morning and said that Brianna was no longer going to pay her half of the rent as of July, and that if he could...
You were living there already?
Yes. And if I give him $750, he would give it back to me. And we never discussed anything about me cooking or cleaning. I actually brought groceries, which he said that he would pay me back for, too, while I'm staying there.
Okay. So you were actually there for 5 days, is that right?
About 5 days.
5, 6 days. And at some point around the first week in July, July 5th, 6th, or 7th, you came to the apartment.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We had went inside the apartment.
Who's we?
Michael and I, sorry. Michael
so
and
you
I
were
went...
So you weren't staying there. Where had you met him?
We actually met at work. We've been together for a year and a half.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But you came home to the apartment together, and that was, I think, on the 7th of July.
Yes.
On the 7th of July. Where had you been? You'd been out. You hadn't been staying in the apartment.
Oh, no, yeah. I was out actually just going to rosaries and stuff like that. I actually went to go pick him up after a family function from work. After picking him up from work, we went back to the apartment, went upstairs.
Was that the first time you had been back to the apartment?
No.
Since you left?
Since I left, I've been there on and off. Like, not on and off, but like every other couple days. But I've been there, not living there, but I've been there spending the night and, you know.
Have you ever, when you were there, have you seen Miss Garrett?
Nope, but I've seen her belongings, though.
Okay. But you knew she was there because he told you that she was there.
Exactly.
So on the 7th, you picked him up, you went back to the apartment, and you'd been there before, but you had never actually physically seen her in the apartment.
Correct.
Despite the fact that you knew she was there.
Correct.
Because you'd been introduced to her.
Correct.
Okay. And what happened?
So we went upstairs. She seen that I was with him, and I guess that must have made her mad.
No, just tell me what happened.
So there was an argument.
Tell me what the argument was.
I don't even know what the argument was, honestly. She just seen me, and then there was an argument that unfolded about what I still don't know still to this day.
Okay, so now Miss Garrett, they came home, and?
Okay, so them two never came in the apartment together at all that night, and previously.
No, just tell me that night.
Oh, that night. So me and Michael discussed that, hey, listen, things are not working out. He has had multiple people in and out his house, and he was making me very uncomfortable, as well as Miss Serrano popping up.
So what do you say? You said multiple people in the house?
Guys, women every night. I would sleep in the park. One night I slept in the park because he had Miss Serrano popping up at 3 o'clock in the morning, her throwing my things around, telling me to get out the house. So I had to go in my car and go sleep in the park. And we had conversations that night when it happened, when she popped up. Hey, can I go sleep?
What date was that?
It was, I want to say July the 2nd or the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the 7th?
Right.
Okay. And that's when you went out and slept in the park?
Yes.
Just a second. Mr. Cody, you remember that evening?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that evening on July 2nd or 3rd, Ms. Serrano was around, and they don't get along.
They do not.
Which is exactly what you anticipated.
Of course.
When you invited her to stay with you.
Sadly.
Absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Going to have two women fight over the prize, the grand prize. Okay. Did you take $750 from her?
No, I did not.
Did you? I didn't ask you with a loan.
Yes,
I didn't ask you. She has proof that she gave it to you.
Yes, she.
Okay, so let's not play. Did you take $750 from her?
I did.
So it goes back to her. That's $750. Now we're going to get to what she alleges is the remainder of her lawsuit, which is damages for assault. Okay. On the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes.
You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites someone, a woman, to come into the house because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that.
Nashera Garrett has accused her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, of damaging her car and assaulting her.
Now, on the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes. So that evening, I went into the house, and he had his witness, Darius, there. And
this person?
Yes. And me and Michael had conversations about him before, and I just thought it wasn't a good influence. So that evening, I walk in the house, and I'm sorry, let me back that up. I asked Michael if he's gonna have men come in the house, could he please be there while I'm there with them? Because I didn't feel comfortable. He said yes. So when I walked in that evening and saw Darius there, I texted Michael and said, Michael, we need to have another talk, because every talk we have, I'm thinking that we're having understandings, but we're not. So, and Darius set up a whole twin-sized bed up in the living room. So I went out to my car. I said, Michael, when you get home, I'm in my car, so meet me in my car when you get off. It was around 8:30 when Michael had came, and I was sitting in my car. Me and Michael were talking. And
was he in your car with you?
No. He was outside of my driver's side. So that's when Miss Brianna came, and she started hitting him upside his head. And I tried to get out of the spot that I was in. And next thing I know, my window's down, and she comes and she's attacking me, punching me in my face. She keyed up my car. When she first came up to my window, she keyed my car. Yeah, I can show you.
What? Okay, did you file a police report?
I didn't.
Why?
I just didn't. I took care of my bruises and my scar. I did call 911, but then I hung up. I just didn't. And
okay. Do you have photographs of your injury?
Yes. There you go.
So what you're telling me is that this was a scratch across your chest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scratch that was caused by Miss Serrano.
Yes.
And that was in July.
Yes.
Ms. Serrano, I'd like to hear your version of what happened on the 7th of July.
Like I said before, there was just an argument that took place.
That wasn't. I want you to start the argument from the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. She's outside in her car.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is talking to her at the car.
Oh yeah.
Did you drive over there or did you walk? How did you get there?
Parked my car like in front of the house because they were on the side street. So I walked.
So you walked there?
Exactly.
You parked the car. Now let me ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Serrano. Yeah. Did Mr. Codia ever give you an indication that Miss Garrett was no longer going to be living there?
Not that I could recall, no.
Well, I want you to try to recall.
I was told after that whole day went, the day after that, the conversation was going to be for her to leave the house.
Okay. And what were you coming over for? What brought you over there at 8 o'clock at night?
For him.
What do you mean for him?
Well, he left something in my car. He left a charger or something. It was something he left in my car that I was returning back to him.
Did you tell him you were coming over?
Nope. I just popped up.
The answer is no.
No.
You were curious.
Yes, I was. Of course I was.
There you were.
I'm sorry.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance
Crazy.
on him.
That's getting on me too.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too. Wow.
I'm waiting for it
You're
to
waiting.
come over here. Did you seek medical treatment?
I did not.
Mr. Cody, I'm going to wrap up this case because I really understand it. I believe I understand it. What I don't understand is why, and this doesn't require an answer, it's sort of a rhetorical question, why you would want to take someone who had been a lifelong friend and someone with whom you are having a child and put either one or both of them in a situation they don't know each other really, so they don't know whether to like each other or whether not to like each other. I mean, I assume that at this point you would, at least Miss Serrano was planning a long-term relationship with you, and she's having a child, and I assume she thinks you're going to be there to be supportive of the child. Maybe. You have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have another son.
Okay, how old?
5 years old, 5.
And he lives with his mother?
Yes, he does.
So you see.
Yes. There you go.
This one's a pesky one. I'm usually good at it. I missed it before. I don't know why you would put them in a situation where they would dislike each other all to satisfy your ego.
Wow.
Oh, that's exactly what you did. You put them in a position where two apparently nice ladies, both of whom care about you in different ways, you put them, well, do you care about him?
Yes.
You think she cares about him?
I've never, the entire time I was with
They
her,
just know each other for a long time.
It was way before me, so I guess if you would have put it like that.
And they also went to senior prom together.
Just a second.
Wow, like
I didn't ask you.
I'm
listen to
sorry,
me.
Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. This is not a shout out. What I'm telling you is it goes to his character. He knows her for a long time. They never had a romantic relationship. With you, he's had a romantic relationship. You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites a woman to come into the house, lets you know about it, because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that. That doesn't make him a good guy. So I want you to think about that. But I absolutely believe that you caused a scratch on her, which you can't do. Anyway, Mr. Cody, you owe her $750. And Miss Serrano, you can't put your hands on anybody, no matter how angry you are at them. And I'm awarding her $1,000 for you putting your hands on her. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was very satisfied.
I mean, I knew it would cause havoc, but
Different women every night,
I try to keep it in secret.
and that's why we stopped being friends before, but I definitely learned my lesson.
I feel like it's unfortunate. I feel like she manipulated the whole situation.
The friendship is over.
It's gonna be a father to my child, man.
After working with you now for almost a year, I'm starting to get so jaded from these cases that I'm starting to think that just staying single might be my best option if these are the alternatives. Yeah. Just blows my mind. He admitted to just pitting an old friend and your fiance, who's pregnant with your child, against each other.
To satisfy your ego.
Yes. Sounds like a terrible idea, was a terrible idea, turned out to be a terrible idea, and it'll land you in court on occasion.
You're right, but rethink that staying single.
10-year-old Isabel Irwin is suing her father, Neil Irwin, for personal belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 27, Irwin versus Irwin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Irwin, this is your dad?
Yes, he is.
And you're 19?
Yes, I am.
According to what I read in your complaint, your parents divorced when you were 10.
Yes.
And your father was your primary custodian. You lived with him.
Yes, I did.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, I did.
When you were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, did you live with your father?
At the age of 15, I moved out because...
Okay, so at age 15, you moved out?
Yes.
Because here you said, when I was 18, my father kicked me out of the house for no good reason.
Yes.
Guess what? Well, you just told me that you left the house when you were 15.
Yes, and I lived with my mother for 2 years, and...
Okay, so from age 15 to 17, you lived with your mother.
Yes.
Is that because you were having difficulty with your father?
Yes.
Okay, and then you went to live with your mother?
Yes.
But that didn't last?
No.
So now, at 17, you go back to your father?
Yes.
And you stayed with him until you were 18?
Yes, correct.
So far, I have the fact that your family is a little dysfunctional, but that you had certain problems.
I moved out when I was 18.
Just a second. Would that be a fair statement, that you had some problems?
No, it would not be.
Okay. What high school did you graduate from?
It's a school partnered with the National Guard for kids that are off track to get them back on track.
Did you have to pay for that school?
No, they are paid by the government.
Could you look them up for me?
Yeah, it's a residential program for youths aged 16 to 18 who've dropped out of school or who are seriously behind in credits and need to catch up quickly.
Okay, so you were dropped out of school?
No.
Or seriously behind?
Yes. Dropped out or behind in credits.
Okay. And how old were you when you graduated from?
I was 17 years old.
And so at that point, you moved in with your father?
Yes.
And why did you leave when you were 18?
He had evicted me.
Okay. And I'd like you to tell me your version of his evicting you when you were 18, because this case involves you're suing your father for items that he disposed of that were yours, and you want this court to award you $7,400 for the things that he disposed of that were yours.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me why you believe he evicted you when you were 18.
I believe he evicted me when I was 18 because I was buying my first car, and he got jealous of the car I had, and he stated that when I moved back in for the second time. He evicted me the second.
No. We're on the first time that your father evicted you, not the second time. The first time your father evicted you, I can ask him, or you want me to stay with you?
You can ask him.
Fine. Tell me why you evicted her the first time, which you did.
The main reasons would be that she agreed to pay rent, which she never did. She needed
working?
Off and on. I'd say over the past 2 years, she's probably had, from my guesstimate, 15 to 20 jobs, all ranging from an hour or a day, I think the longest being about 3 months. Can't maintain a job, would prefer to smoke pot all day in her room and hang out with her boyfriend, basically. Which at the time, for the first eviction, she did not know Corey.
Okay.
But she still does the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. That's what you indicate here. So that was the reason that you evicted her the first time. And that was maybe in June?
I would have filed that June 9th of 2021.
June. Okay. But she came back shortly thereafter, in October.
The sheriffs removed her August 13th, 2021.
Is that because you asked her to leave and she wouldn't?
It's a 3-step process. And I had a 24-hour notice posted to the door after 34 days.
Well, she's your daughter.
Yeah.
So there must have been some discussion, Mr. Irwin, with her. You saying to her, listen, this is not working out.
There wasn't a discussion, Your Honor.
Was not?
I served her the first notice. We talked about it.
Oh, you talked about it?
Prior to me filing. I told her I would do it. I don't think she believed me.
She knew you wanted her to leave as a result of that discussion?
Yes.
And she didn't?
She did not.
She had lived with you off and on, with the exception of 2 years that she lived with her mother, and part of it in a residential program. It's a residential program, correct?
Yes.
When she lived with you, she was 10 years old. Can you tell me, Mr. Irwin, from the time she was 10 until the time she was 18 and she was ultimately evicted, what items in the house she purchased? Bed, TVs, anything big?
She never purchased anything.
When she came back from her mother, what did she come back with?
I believe just a few clothes and a bag. She had to kind of run back.
And to the best of your knowledge, had your daughter maintained any sort of gainful employment the last 3 years?
No.
So other than the clothes she came back with when she was 17, there were no big-ticket items?
There were a few by the time I had to evict her the second time, but I would have furnished those, being, bed set, furniture,
bed.
Tempur-Pedic bed. I think that's part of what she's really wanting out of this $7,400.
Okay, so you purchased a bed?
Yes.
Because you didn't have one in the room where she was?
I was just trying to take care. Yeah, I was using the room for my own purposes. I live alone until she moved back in, and usually welcoming of my daughter coming home, so I furnished a room.
Okay, so that's why you left the first time. The first time you left because he got annoyed that you were hanging around doing nothing and smoking pot.
I did pay rent,
right.
too.
Right. And weren't doing it much.
No, I was not smoking often.
We're not doing much, is what I said.
Yes, I had a job. I worked at the beginning of the year.
For how many days?
I worked there for about 3 months, and then I worked as a kennel technician for about 2 months.
What happened to both those jobs?
My dad, his alcoholism, he would never let me sleep in the room as I was paying rent, and he would lock me out. He would lock me out.
Okay.
He would lock me out and he would flip the garage switch, so I wasn't able to get access to the house. I wasn't able to get clean, so I couldn't obtain the job, and my mental health wasn't there for that job, so that's why I took the kennel technician job, and that's when he evicted me.
Where are you living now?
With my boyfriend.
That's him?
Yes.
And where are you working now?
I am unemployed.
Sorry, that's easy. So now you're not working. Now nobody's locked you out. Nobody's made it impossible for you to work. And what kind of work does your boyfriend do?
He is construction. I do DoorDash.
Okay. Your boyfriend is construction?
Yes.
How old is he?
He is 20 years old.
You're Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you live with?
My mom and her new husband.
How did I know that? How did I just know that? It's so perfect to be old that, I mean, I asked the questions. I could have asked the questions and answered the questions. So you and your girlfriend live with your mother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's the name of the company that you work for?
Landscape.
Do you work for them full time?
Yes, I do.
For how long?
I've been working for them about 2 months now.
2 months?
Yes.
Prior to that, what did you do?
I worked for Chewy.
Chewy, the dog products?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened to that job?
I just wasn't liking the job anymore, and I thought I could do a lot harder work, and that's what I strive to do, is just continue trying to be the best person I can.
And what does your girlfriend do all day when you're out in your landscaping job for the last 2 months?
She stays busy going to the gym and making sure that everything is in tip-top shape, and just bringing me lunch when I'm on my break for work.
And you're living in your mom's house. Be a fair statement. You don't have to be a math wizard, which I am not, because you don't have enough money to move out into your own place.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your mom work?
Yes, she does.
Who else lives in the house?
Her newly husband.
Now, you have a room in your mom's house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it furnished?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who bought the furniture?
I bought the bed set, and...
Tell me when you bought the bed set.
I bought it about 2 years ago because we moved there recently.
So what you're telling me is you purchased a new mattress?
Yes.
With your earnings?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much was it?
It was about $1,500.
And if you left the house, you would want to take your mattress because you bought it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You wouldn't take any of the other furniture in the house because you didn't buy it.
Yes, correct.
Whether it's your dresser or a TV in your room, your parents bought that.
Yeah.
The mattress you bought.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you can sit. Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work.
"19-year-old Isabel Irwin claims her father, Neil Irwin, owes for personal belongings."
Now, I'm going to sort of pull this together. Eventually, you moved back into the house after an initial eviction, and you weren't doing well, I assume.
Yes.
And then you came back a couple of months later and asked your father if you could move back in.
Yes.
And he said, okay.
Yes.
And that didn't work out. He was unhappy with the arrangement.
I was paying rent before. He was kicking me out, so I decided not to pay rent.
Whatever the reason, he wasn't happy with it. You were gone for a couple of months.
He evicted me, yes.
Yes. Well, he evicted you for a reason, Miss Irwin. You have to stop being a baby. He evicted you for a reason. He took you back because you went there. You said, I have no place to go. I assume, without going into specifics, because you look a little frightened, and I don't have to get that crazed with you because it sounds like a very sad situation. He said, it's not working out again. I want you to leave. And when you left, you did not, according to you, take your stuff. And your father, at some point after he received a text message from you, which I assume you have, sir?
I do.
Which said, have a nice life. After he received that, waited a while and disposed.
That was a statement I made because I asked him to help me fill up my tires because they needed air, and I saw him pull into the Safeway parking lot and leave with his groceries, and he never helped me.
Okay. So you said, have a nice life. And then you want a whole bunch of things from the house. Now, I want you to tell me, with your limited work history, which you have, hardly enough to sustain yourself, because in October you came back to him and said, I need a place to live. So I want you to tell me what you purchased.
I purchased the Tempur-Pedic bed.
And who did you purchase it from?
My father.
You purchased it from your father?
Yes, he made the original purchase and said I could just give him the money, which I did.
Okay. And how much did you give him for the mattress?
$3,000.
That's incorrect.
Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work. You don't work.
The first
This
one was
doesn't tell me anything.
Transaction that
This doesn't tell me anything. You want to tell me that tells me nothing. You want to give that to her. I would have to find credible, Miss Irwin, that you had managed to save from your job that you had for 3 months while you claim you were paying your father rent $3,000.
It was the leftover money from me purchasing my car.
Oh, I don't believe that. For 1 second. Okay, you want to tell me about the mattress, sir?
Okay, simply put, I got one for myself when she wasn't living with me, and the mattress I furnished her with, it was a floor model. He gave me a good deal on it. I think it retails about $3,500. I got it for $2,300. My daughter and I did have an agreement that she could purchase the mattress for $1,800. However, as you may have figured out, that did not occur.
And this was after she moved back in October, or when she was...
Yep, yes it was.
After she moved back in October?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mattress is staying where it is. Okay. Now let's go to dresser, nightstand, and TV. So you acknowledge that none of those things you purchased, bed, dresser, nightstand, and TV.
No, I did not purchase that.
Okay. Now that's your father's. He threw out my clothes, shoes, and jewelry. Now, you were evicted.
Yes.
Was it an actual eviction? Did marshals come to the house?
No. I got served the eviction notice on June 30th. He illegally locked me out.
No. Just June 30th.
Yes.
So on June 30th, you were given an eviction notice that said that you had to be out on what date?
In 30 days.
Okay. So far, is that correct, Mr. Irwin?
That's fairly correct. I do have the 30-day no-cause notice to quit that she was served.
Okay. And on what date did you leave?
On July 1st, because he had thrown a camera
Just a second.
at my boyfriend.
You left on July 1st?
Yes.
Tell me how you left.
I packed a small bag, and I had left.
You packed a small bag that contained what?
A few of my clothes and whatever I could grab for a few nights.
And where did you go?
To my boyfriend's house.
So you went to Corey's house?
Yes.
Do you have a laptop?
I do not.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, I do.
Did you take the phone?
Yes, I did.
You took some clothes with you, and you knew that you had an eviction notice, correct?
Yes.
Tell me what jewelry you allege your father threw out.
He threw out my necklace my boyfriend had bought me. He threw out...
Which boyfriend?
This boyfriend, Corey.
Tell me about the necklace.
He had purchased it for my birthday.
Okay. Stand up, Corey. Tell me about the necklace you purchased.
I had purchased it from K Jewelers. I had purchased it for about $250.
Okay. When?
On her birthday, just a little before.
When's her birthday?
February 20th.
Did she wear the necklace?
Yes, Your Honor.
Every day?
No, just on occasions, whenever we'd go out and do stuff and all that.
When she came to your house with her bag, did you ever see the necklace again?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Do you know where this necklace is?
I do not.
Did you throw away a necklace?
I guess anything's possible because when she left and sent me the "have a nice rest of your life" text, it looked like a hoarder's room, so I guess anything could have been in there.
Who cleaned it up?
I did.
Didn't see a necklace?
Didn't see a necklace.
Okay. Were you looking for anything of value?
I wasn't looking for anything. To me, it looked like old clothes that probably hadn't been worn in years.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear out the room.
Fine. Have a seat. Other than that necklace, what other jewelry did you have?
I had some rings I purchased from Ojai, California on a trip I previously took for my dad.
Okay. What else? You took a bag of clothes. What specific, because you had jewelry, shoes. I assume you took some shoes with you because you were going to be there.
Not.
Well, you were wearing a pair of shoes.
Yes, I was. I was wearing my old shoes.
Okay. When you got rid of all of the stuff, Mr. Irwin, you didn't go through any of it?
No, I did not.
Did you give her any notice that she had 10 days, 2 weeks to get her stuff?
I did not give her notice.
On what date did you dispose of all of her stuff?
It would have been around July 20th, about 20 days after or so.
Okay. Well, but even according to your eviction notice, she had 30 days to vacate.
Well, if you read the actual eviction notice, it's 5 days. After 5 days, you have to file another part of the eviction notice, which is unlawful detainer, meaning that she is now there illegally. So she left within the 5 days, willfully.
I'm 19 years old, and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years.
"19-year-old Isabel Irwin has accused her father, Neil Irwin, of throwing out her personal property. Neil claims he paid for Isabel's belongings.
Okay, so you didn't file the next step.
I did not.
So she left within 5 days. That was the
Yes.
agreement. And she just left the place a mess.
A mess, yes.
Okay, who is this?
This is my mother, Janice Leonard.
Could you stand up, please, for a moment? Miss Leonard, how many grandkids do you have?
Well, from Neil to, I have 6.
Did you and Miss Irwin get along?
Oh, yes. She came to, we lived in Idaho at the time. I had an equestrian center. So every summer she would be there all summer long. We taught her to ride. She had the best horses. She jumped. She was a fantastic rider. But as the years went on, it was just getting more difficult. When she turned 14, her behavior changed drastically.
Can you describe, I know that you moved back to where your son lived. And according to the answer, he gave you a key to the house. He was in Las Vegas on a trip.
That's correct.
Could you describe when you went into the house what Miss Irwin's room looked like?
Every time I would go over there, the house would be worse every single day. And there was a very strong, pungent smell, so I thought the dogs were going to the bathroom. Her room was a total disaster. There's clothes literally strewn, I don't know how tall, but 12 inches maybe. Nothing was ever picked up. And one day, before Neil came back, I said, this place is really smelling bad. And later I learned that they were smoking marijuana. They would be in the bedroom and giggling and in the bathroom together. And when I would come, she'd only be there for maybe 20 minutes and they both would leave. There was no respect, I have to say. I've seen her in action and she can be very nice and very polite, but there's a whole nother side that is actually very scary, to the point when she was years ago, 14, my husband and I were locking our bedroom door because we were afraid of her when she stayed.
Okay, thank you. Isabel, is that what they call you, or they have a
Yes.
Isabel. Word of advice, caution, you're 19?
Yes.
You look older. That's not a compliment. You seem like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you.
But I see issues there of blaming everyone else, and it's very possible that your father and your mother and other people share the blame in your issues. That's possible. But at this point in your life, Isabel, you're just starting, and you can either spend your life blaming somebody else, parent, grandparents, siblings, for where you are, or you can say, I have to get myself some help and put a period, because I'm 19 years old and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years. Your father looks better. Your grandmother looks better. They look appropriate to their age and stage and clearer. So I think that you should get some help. I also think, Mr. Irwin, there were things in her room, and believe me, I have seen rooms like that. You know, I have been involved with lots of kids and grandchildren. Most of them grow up, and once they get a place of their own, they walk around with a bottle of Windex and Bounty and clean up after everybody's fingerprints. But if they're living in their parents' house or their grandparents' house, they live like slobs. Sometimes that never changes. But, you know, there's messy, and then there is dysfunctional. And what you are describing is dysfunctional. And I think if your daughter was honest, she would look and she would say, that's dysfunctional. You were in the room, Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stand up. Would you describe your girlfriend's room in her father's house as evidence of being dysfunctional? Not a nom. Right here, Corey.
Okay.
Does her room look like your room?
No, it does not, Your Honor.
Okay. Would your mother permit your room to look like her room? It's not an answer, Corey. Would your mother permit your room that you're sharing to look like the room that was in his house where your girlfriend lived and you stayed occasionally?
No, Your Honor.
No. Okay, sit down. You should have looked for the necklace. He gave me an honest answer to everything that I asked him. So the necklaces was probably mixed in with a load of garbage that was there.
To say the least.
That was accumulated. It was like a hoarder. So I'm
Your
awarding
Honor,
you.
I have a
you
video
give it to your
of the
boyfriend.
room.
$250 to go and buy her a new necklace. Thank you very much. This case is over.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I agree with the judge's decision 100%. I think it was very fair.
I think it wasn't fair.
She has so much more potential than what she's doing right now.
I was just trying to get my belongings, and he literally just never wanted me to do it.
She's a great kid, and in all reality, she's just making some wrong decisions right now.
I made any really bad decisions. It's all been influenced by my father. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I hope she grows up, and I love her.
I know I need to grow up, but he evicted me, gave me 2 days, and I didn't want to make my dad mad.
I hope you weren't talking about me when you were thinking of your grandchildren keeping messy rooms. I try and be neat and nice and organized.
Well, I wasn't thinking about you today as a law school graduate, but I do remember when you were in college and you were staying with us rather than in the dorm, keeping your door closed because it looked like somebody hit your room with a Mixmaster.
Maybe just a few too many open suitcases, I guess.
Yeah, open, unpacked suitcases. But got older and more respectful, and then you had your own apartment, and I remember visiting your apartment, and I said, who is it that lives here? I couldn't figure out who lived here. It's not the same person who lived with me.
It's a maturity thing, and I think I was shocked to see that she was only 19 years old, in line with what you said to her, that she looks older beyond her years, and some difficulty can do that to you, but you have to take accountability and do what you can to make your life organized and set yourself up for success.
That, all that is true. I'm not sure that she has all the tools to do that, and I don't know if she has anybody there to guide her. It's too bad because she seems like an intelligent young woman, and her grandmother certainly portrayed a picture of a child who was accomplished when she was younger, and then something happened.
I hope she turns it around.
Hope she turns it around. I hope it's not other.
Marshall are suing their neighbors, Joseph and Jennifer Fugate, for an insurance deductible and filing a false police report.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2074, Marshall versus Fugate.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. and Mrs. Marshall, you live across the street from Mr. Fugate and his mother.
Yes.
How long have you lived in your house?
22 years.
And Mr. Fugate, how long have you lived in your house?
Your Honor, my mom has lived in the house far longer than I have. She's lived in it since 2008. I moved in 2016.
Mr. and Mrs. Marshall, this problem that I'm going to try to rectify today deals with parking space.
Yes.
And the parking space is a public parking space, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And it's on the street, and the public parking space happens to be in front of your home.
Yes, ma'am.
You live across the street.
Yes, ma'am.
And the case involves acrimony that has developed because you, Mr. Fugate, would like to keep that spot that's in front of your home free for your mother, who you say, for health reasons, it would be more convenient for her to park right in front of the house.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. and Mrs. Marshall sometimes or always park in that spot. That's what the problem is.
Yes.
Okay. And I assume you're going to speak for your husband for now?
I can, yes.
Do you want her to talk for you?
It's fine.
He learns his lessons well. Oh, that's very good.
You can speak,
I can speak for myself. If she need to, she can.
Perfect. You've been living there a long time. Did you have any trouble with the Fugate family about this parking space between 2008 and 2016?
No.
So before the son moved in, you had no problem?
That's right.
Had you ever, just a second, had you ever had discussions with Mrs. Fugate about parking in that spot before he came?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Mrs. Fugate, did you understand what I said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I want you to be very careful in your answer to me.
Yes, ma'am.
You've lived there for a long time.
Yes,
your son didn't move in until 2016. Before your son moved in, did you ever have any communication with Mr. and Mrs. Marshall about parking in front of your house?
Ma'am, she didn't park in front of my house before my son moved in.
Okay, so is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you tell me what changed after her son moved in?
Okay, where I park at is actually across the street from the Fugates. It's right by my driveway, and I park my Toyota Avalon right beside my driveway, which is the parking spot that Mr. Fugate is causing the problems over.
So the parking spot is in front of your house?
No, it's not in front of my house. It's beside my driveway.
But on your side of the house?
That's
on your
correct.
side of the street?
Yes. Correct.
No.
Do they have a parking space in front of their house on their side of the street?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you ever park there?
I have. When they took the parking space I usually park in, I did park across the street.
Okay, so occasionally, either Mr. Fugate, his mother, parks on your side of the street, on a public street, and you'll park in front of their house.
Correct.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so let me tell you all this. We're going to finish part of the case right now. Too bad. You can park wherever you want on a public street, because there are other visitors that come, I assume, for people who live on the block, that they take up parking spaces, and occasionally there aren't other parking spaces. You know, there's no question you would prefer to park on your side of the street, and you would prefer to park on your side of the street. If you can't, you can't. Mr. Fugate, I'm just telling you, just so that you know, you have no right to a public parking space.
Yes, I understand that, Your Honor. I'm not the one that needs to be told that, though.
You have no right to a public parking space.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you live, in what state?
Ohio, Cincinnati.
Okay, I've actually been to Cincinnati frequently, but I am certain that there is no regulation in Ohio or any city or town thereof that says, well, you sort of had first dibs on the parking space on the public street that's in front of your house. That's ridiculous.
The best that Cincinnati has, Your Honor, is a 3-day law that if the vehicle doesn't move within 3 days, then it could be towed by the city. But that's the best that they have.
You live across the street from each other. Did either of you ever call the police and say a car has been there for more than 3 days?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who did?
I did, Your Honor.
Why?
Because the spot in question that's directly across the street is actually, it's hindering to the entire flow of the neighborhood and where everybody parks on the street. I served 10 years Army, and I fought for people.
Listen, I don't care if you're a good person, if you're not a good person, if you're a do-gooder, if you're not a do-gooder. It's a public street. And if what you're suggesting to me is they should be nice, it's an older person, and they shouldn't park in that spot, what I'm telling you is I wouldn't start up with anybody by calling the police on a car that especially a car that I knew. I know that it's my neighbor's car. They've been living there for 22 years, relatively peacefully. Relatively peaceful.
It hasn't really been peaceful, Your Honor.
You moved there.
Yes, I did.
They were living there a decade before you moved there. You.
Yes, ma'am.
If it wasn't peaceful, there are options. You're a free person. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I cannot imagine my calling the police on a neighbor's car that was parked in the street. Well, that created problems. Okay, so I see where we're going. We're going to get to this case. Reimbursement for insurance deductible, that's one thing, because you claim that Mr. Fugate damaged your car.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
That was on June the 26th.
Of this year?
Of 21, I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you have any video evidence of the damage to your car?
No, ma'am. All I have is a picture.
Tell me how he damaged the car. With what did he damage the car?
Okay, he damaged the car with his hand. I'm parking the car.
You mean in front of?
In front of Mrs. Fuggate's home.
So on her side of the street?
Yes, ma'am. I exit the car. Mr. Fugate is being erratic.
No, don't tell me what your perception of. Tell me what he did.
He was beating the hood of the car.
He came up to the car and was hitting the top of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I'll see the car and the police report. See the dent, and that's the hood of the car. Okay. Okay, as this police report says, Mr. Fugate told the police in his narrative that this incident occurred, there was a disagreement over the parking space, and that you struck him with the car, causing minor injury. Okay, because you have a cross complaint for that.
That is correct.
Okay. So that's a simple. June 26th, I see the car was damaged. There's no question it was damaged by somebody pounding on the hood, and I assume that was you.
Ma'am, that's wrong. I did not pound on the hood.
Well, then tell me, Mr. Fugate, how these dents occurred, just the way they look, on the hood of the car.
Your Honor, I have the 911 audio calls of the night, as well as the police report. And I also drew up a diagram where she was originally parked that explains everything. But,
okay, so I'd like to see that. Okay.
Ma'am, if I could approach the diagram.
Absolutely. June 26th.
On June 26th, I was talking to my parents when the marshals came home. My car was parked right here. Okay, they came home, they blocked their own driveway, and parked right up on top of my bumper.
Just a second. Just a second. So you, Mr. Fugate, were parked on a public street where you could park on their side of the street, not your side of the street, okay?
Yes, sir.
And they came up blocking their own driveway.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you see them? Were you in the house watching?
No, I was on my parents' porch.
Okay, so now you're on your parents' porch, they're in their car, and they blocked their own driveway.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Not a big ordeal, right?
Not any of your business.
Right, it wasn't, like I said, wasn't a problem to me,
wasn't any of your business.
Exactly. So
Go
anyway,
ahead.
I'm talking to my parents on the phone. They're just getting done working. I can hear that the marshals are upset about where I'm parked at on a public street. And I went out to save my parents' spot because I could hear her say, I'm going to teach him a lesson.
So, Mr. Fugate, now, is what you're telling me that that car where you're standing in, you went out to make it so that they could not park on a public street? Is that what you're telling me? The answer is yes.
Yes.
You got off the porch to stand in the street to block them from moving in front of your house because your car was parked on their side of the street.
No, no, Your Honor. No, you got that wrong.
Is that red car yours?
The red car is mine.
It's mine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just to say, the red car is yours. Listen, I'm not a moron.
I know that.
The white car is the space that you wanted to save for your parents.
Yes, Your Honor. They were on their way home. I was
Who
talking to
gives
them.
a rat's behind where they were? Now you have
this
both
whole
spots.
area was clear, and there is a crossing road that comes all the way through here, and they could have parked.
Who made you the monitor of public parking?
No one.
Who do you think you are to be the monitor of public parking?
Sherry and Jeffrey Marshall claim their neighbors, Joseph and Jennifer Fugate, owe for an insurance deductible and filing a false police report. Joseph and Jennifer are countersuing for medical bills from an assault.
Now, you went out on a public street to go like this to save a parking space for your parents that you had no right to do. Let me just understand this. You had no right to go out there. You parked on their side of the street, and then you went outside to save the spot because your parents were on their way home. Just a second. You have no right to do that. Zero. Don't you understand that?
No, actually, I don't understand that, Your Honor. How do I not have a right to save a spot?
You do not have a right to save a public
parents.
Just a second. You don't have that right because I'm here to tell you, you don't have a right to save a spot on a public street by standing in the street like this. Don't park here.
And
you have
like this.
I don't care whether you were hopping on one foot and chewing gum. You don't have the right to save a spot, and it makes it twice as obnoxious because you parked on their side of the street. Now, if there was a spot in front of their house that they could park in and they said, no, I'm going to park in front of the defendant's house, I could say, you know what? That's nasty.
Well, that's
nasty. Now you have
this
both
whole
spots.
Area was clear, okay? And there is a crossing road that comes all the way through here, and they could have parked.
Who made you the monitor of public parking?
No one.
Who do you think you are to be the monitor of public parking? Get back.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now, Mr. Monitor of Public Parking, you come out and you're standing in the street to save the spot. She comes around to park there, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me what happened.
Well, she came around to park there, and then she hit me with her car.
Just a second. She came around to park there, and you were standing in the street.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, pay careful attention. Where did she hit you in the car before you moved?
She hit me in the knee.
In the knee. And so you jumped out of the way. No.
I fell on her car. I guess I was talking on the phone, and when she hit me in the knee, I fell on her car.
Baloney. That's not what this is. What was the damage to your car?
The damage?
That's baloney. That didn't happen because your elbow went on her car. Sir, if she hit you on the knee, she hit you on the knee with the front of her car, which is possible. By the way, you have medical records to show me?
I do.
I'd like to see them. The record should reflect that they closed this case, made no arrests in this case, and probably told everybody to behave themselves, which is what I'm doing.
I apologize.
Okay. What is this?
That is the ambulance bill for...
I want to see a medical record. I don't care if you went in an ambulance. I want to see what the doctor reported about your injury. Where is that?
I was unable to get that.
Well, that's too bad. Then I'm not interested in this. That's nonsense. Okay, how much did it cost to fix your car?
Here we are. Thank you.
And you had a $500 deductible?
Yes, ma'am.
$500 so far for the plaintiff. The counterclaim that talks about medical bills for this is dismissed. Okay, filing a false police report.
Yes, ma'am.
And the false police report you're talking about is what?
Mrs. Fieldgate initiated a confrontation with me.
When?
December the 22nd. I'm on my way to my vehicle. Mrs. Fieldgate is parked maybe like 10 feet behind me.
Put up the diagram again, please. Okay, just go over to the board. This is a different date, but I just want you to show me where she was and where you were.
Okay. Mrs. Fieldgate was parked right about here.
She parked right about there, which is opposite your house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I'm parked here.
In front of her house?
Correct.
Okay, so you're both on the same side of the street, which is the defendant's side of the street. You're parked across the street from your house.
That's correct.
Got it. Go ahead.
Okay.
What happened?
And Mrs. Fieldgate, she comes out of her car. She's walking towards me. She's upset. She's yelling. And I don't remember all of the words that she was saying, but it was about parking. She was telling me I couldn't park where I was parked at. She's yelling. She's screaming. I'm trying to reason with her.
Could you step back there?
Yes. I'm trying to reason with Miss Fieldgate. I'm telling her it's a public street and I can park there. She's yelling and screaming and telling me that I can't. We're standing in front of one another. She's still yelling and screaming. I'm trying to reason with her. Next thing I know, she hits me on the hand. My reflex, I pushed her back. Next thing I know, she's still standing after I pushed Next thing I know, I guess she thought about it, and then she made herself fall on the ground.
Well, I don't know whether she did or not. Somebody said with regard to this that there's a video of this. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It was dismissed in court. It wasn't showed in court.
I don't care whether it's shown in court or not. I would like to see, because I read here that there is a security video of what happened on. If it's a video, you don't have to go up there, Ms. Fugate, because I can actually see it myself. So now, those are the two cars parked on the same side of the street, and they are parked on the defendant's side of the street.
Yes, ma'am.
And your car is the...
Black car.
Your car is the black car, their car is the red car.
That's correct.
And that's Ms. Fugate getting out of her car. Okay, now I'd like to see the video.
She started to move up. So I thought I'd move my car a little closer.
Shh! Don't speak.
That's when she...
Shh! Okay, I'm going to see that again, please. And I'd like you to do it slowly at some point when they're right in each other's faces and getting very nasty. Oh, no, Miss Marshall, you can't do that.
It wasn't my intention.
Oh, just a second. Oh, it was absolutely your intention.
No,
it was absolutely your intention, and there was... Listen, you know, I'm an equal opportunity abuser. You can't do that. You can't do what I just saw. What I just saw is unreasonable behavior and totally inconsistent to being... Maybe, which I didn't see, slapped on the hand.
Right.
Maybe slapped on the hand. I didn't see it. But I did see you give her a substantial shove, and she is a person who has a certain infirmity, and she fell. And if she fell, and if she was injured, you're responsible. That's it. I saw you give her a shove that didn't, as you say, she decided to fall back down. No, madam. You hit her with such force that she fell backward. You say no, I say yes. Yeah. I'm a judge. I win.
Sherry and Jeffrey Marshall have accused their neighbors, Joseph and Jennifer Fugate, of damaging their car. Jennifer claims she was assaulted by Sherry over a parking spot.
Now, I saw the video. I don't have to have your mother testify. You should have not created an incident, Mrs. Fugate.
I didn't.
Yes, no, yes, just a second. Yes, you did.
I was walking toward the car, and I was to go to my car and pull up because she was starting to pull her car up. And if you look, she started to pull her car up first. And then when she come around the car, she's holding her cell phone yelling, I got you on recording. I'm recording you because I'm going to show you a hate crime. Excuse me.
Just a second. Part of the problem is you and your son have to understand that you have no right to the parking spaces that are on a public street, just a sec, in front of your house. And your son clearly is a provocateur in this because he parks his car on their side of the street. I'm not getting, so what I'm doing is I am dissecting this case. If I have two unreasonable people, they're going to continue to make each other's lives miserable, and I can't control that. All I can do is hear each individual side. So, Mrs. Fugate, I have already said that Miss Marshall had no right, based upon what I saw, to push you with such force that you fell. I would like to see the medical report after the incident of December 22nd. May I see it, Kevin?
I was in the ER.
Okay.
And I had to wear a brace for a month on my arm and shoulder.
Did you have any out-of-pocket expense?
I paid $900 because it was Christmas holidays.
All I want to know is, did you have any out-of-pocket expense?
Yes, Your Honor.
And yes, I had...
Shh. What is this?
It's
I had to have a woman come in and clean my house.
Oh, I don't care about that.
That was out of...
I don't care about that. Return that to her. That's a cleaning bill for somebody to come in and clean. Let her clean. Okay, so filing a false police report and false arrest. Who was arrested?
I was.
And you were arrested, in my judgment, legitimately, because of based upon what I saw. So I'm dismissing...
That is not why they arrested me.
Okay. So that is not the reason that you were arrested was not this.
The reason why I was arrested is because when she hit me and when I pushed her back, when they asked me what happened, I did not tell them that she had struck me.
Miss Marshall, is the reason you were arrested based upon the occurrence of December 22nd? That's easy.
Yes, it was.
Well, that's what I said. So don't say no. The reason you were arrested and claim falsely is as a result of the December 22nd incident.
But I was cleared.
I don't care whether you were cleared or not. I didn't clear you. The burden of proof in a criminal case is proof by beyond a reasonable doubt, okay? That is not the burden of proof in a civil proceeding. It's a much lower standard. I looked at that video. I believe that your conduct was unconscionable.
And not hers. You didn't see.
I think that her behavior was stupid. I don't. Yeah. Just a second. I don't see her hitting you. I see you walking away, Miss Marshall. I see you walking away, but I saw you give her a shove that, as you say, she decided to fall back down. No, madam. You hit her with such force that she fell backward. You say no, I say yes. I'm a judge, I win. So you, on your case, I said, absolutely. I don't believe him. I don't believe that the damage to your car resulted from his putting his elbow on it. I told him, you have absolutely no right to save a space for your parents. I'm awarding...
The case is malicious. Okay. From what you saw him do, that's what she did. She installed a camera, set me up, manured me in front of the camera. She knew what she was doing when she hit me on the hand.
Okay, very...
she knew.
Just a second. Just a second.
All of it is
Just
malicious.
a second. It's not your judgment that I'm concerned about, madam. I'm telling you, based upon what I saw, I'm awarding Mrs. Fugate, who I think she and her son both have to understand what a public street is. I'm awarding her $2,000 on her counterclaim for her injuries as a result of the assault. I'm dismissing part of your claim for false arrest. I awarded you the $500 that you asked for your deductible. You got your $500. It's coming off the $2,000 that I've awarded Mrs. Fugate for her injuries, judgment on the counterclaim for $1,500. Thank you very much. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I wouldn't have never maliciously pushed anybody.
I've been trying to tell this story forever.
I didn't know what else she was going to do. I was trying to protect myself.
It really does harden me that there are people out there that could go and just do this.
I have always been friendly. I never bothered anyone. They keep bothering us.
We're really hoping that this does resolve the issue.
I just want them to leave us alone.
Bring them to Judy Justice.
Because she really does care.
You want to know how I know that the plaintiff wasn't being truthful when she said that I wasn't being malicious, it was an accident, I did not push her that hard? If that had happened to me and I was just trying to get someone away from me, and that reaction from the defendant of falling back, I thought she almost cracked her head on the curb. I would have said, I'm so sorry, oh my goodness, I would have gone down to her, I didn't mean to push you, let me help you up. The plaintiff just walked right back to her car, and you could see her face almost had a smirk on it, just walked right back to her car like she didn't even care. And that, to me, says you knew exactly what you were doing when you put your hands on that woman.
Yeah, and I didn't see a slap.
It could have happened.
I said it could have happened. It could have happened. I just didn't see it.
That reaction was
an
above and beyond.
overreaction.
Autumn Burke is suing her former friend, Freya Brown, for vandalizing her car and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2186, Burke versus Brown.
Thank you. Ms. Burke, I understand that you and the defendant met when you were both in foster care.
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
And how old were you, if I can ask you these questions, if you're uncomfortable, please let me know. How old were you when you went into foster care?
16, I believe.
Were you originally placed in group homes?
Yes, and through Orangewood Foundation, as well as transitional housing programs.
When did you start transitional housing from group homes?
I started that when I was 17. That was in 2021, where I was roommates with Freya, and we lived there.
Okay, and could you describe the facility where you were living?
We were living in Tustin, an apartment complex where they rent out the rooms and they have foster kids go in there and then they pay, well, they don't pay rent, but it's a transitional program to move up to the extended foster care transitional housing program for after you're 18. So it's better to be placed into this one, so it helps foundation towards the next one.
Towards total independence?
Yes.
And how long did you stay in that facility? Until when?
Like a few months after I turned 18, I got into the Costa Mesa transitional housing.
Okay, from Costa Mesa, do you go into any other facility through the foster care system, or are you then supposed to get a job and get on your own 2 feet?
So this program, the independent living program, it's really hard for foster kids to get into. You have to be set up with all the requirements, and so...
What kind of requirements? Are there academic requirements?
Yeah, academic requirements, working, going to school, meeting with the manager that comes in every week. Yes.
Were you going to school?
Yes.
What school were you going to?
Golden West College.
Are you still going to school?
Yes, I currently am taking a break from this semester, but I'm still going to continue it.
Are you working?
Yes.
And you're living on your own?
I'm renting a room out in Irvine with 2 different roommates.
And Miss Brown, what about you? How long have you been in the foster care system, and how old are you now?
I've been in the foster care system since I was 13 years old. I am currently 19.
Tell me where you're living.
Right now, I live in a rented room in a house also in Irvine.
Tell me what you're doing.
Right now, I work in sales. I'm a sales associate.
Is it a full-time job?
It's part-time. I'm also in school. I go to Fullerton College, and I'm a biology major.
Interesting. Are you good in science?
I really liked science in high school, so yeah.
Well, you seem like 2 absolutely delightful ladies. I don't know why you got into this kerfuffle, but each one of you claim that you were assaulted by the other. You claim that Miss Brown caused vandalism to your car. Miss Brown says that you had her falsely arrested after this altercation, which seems to be an unhappy event over a guy.
Over a guy?
I mean, they're necessary evils, but over a guy. So 2 lovely girls who probably weathered a lot of storms in your life to keep together that most 15, 16-year-olds don't have to do. How could 2 nice girls get into a kerfuffle over a guy?
I have no idea.
Go.
Okay, so on September 2nd, near 10 p.m., I was cooking us dinner, and Freya's sitting at the counter, and then while I'm cooking dinner, I get a call from my ex, and he's just...
From your ex-boyfriend, not ex-husband.
Oh, yes.
From your ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And his name is, what's his first name?
I would prefer...
Let's call him Cat.
Cat, yeah. So
you get a call from Cat. Do you know Cat?
Personally, no, I do not know him.
Have you ever met him?
No, I have not.
Okay. So now you get a call from Cat. And how long has he been your ex-boyfriend?
Well, we just had a situationship, like it was just off and on, but he just called me and I just had him on the phone as speaker and...
So you had him on speakerphone, you're cooking her dinner, she's sitting at the counter.
Yeah, and he starts making flirtatious comments like saying if I had any cute friends near around, and I know it doesn't sound right, but...
It doesn't sound good, Miss Burke.
Yeah, but that's just like, I know him and that's like a different story, but regardless, then
So what was he... I want to know what he was saying.
Well,
you have to tell me, because she probably remembers what he was saying.
I do.
So if you don't remember, I'll ask her. What did he say?
He asked in general if I had any cute friends near me or any around. Just saying if there was any cute friends near me. So that he...
Okay, so your ex-boyfriend calls you and asks you if you have any cute friends around.
Yes.
And you didn't just hang up on him.
Well, yes. I told him, I said that I can't, like, see him tonight and that he shouldn't be saying that. But the call ended because he had to go because he had to go back to work. So it ended quick.
Wait just a second. He must have said something that annoyed her.
That was it. He just asked
what did he say? Okay. You don't remember. What did he say?
He called her. They were talking for a minute. And then she was saying, you know, oh, I miss you, this and that. And he was like, can I come over? At which point she told him, oh, I'm with my 2 friends. And he was like, oh, what do they look like? Are they cute? How old are they? Which I thought was disrespectful to me and also disrespectful to her. I was trying to be a good friend. I informed her of it. And
no, so he was acting like a guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
Think before you talk. There's no filter here. So he's saying, oh, really? You can't come over? You have two friends? Ah, are they cute? Are they nice looking? And just to tell you, Miss Brown, I don't think it was disrespectful. I just think it's a stupid remark.
No,
do you understand?
I understand,
it's
but
just stupid.
The tone and then the content, because it was on speaker, like I could hear everything. So
when he hung up, what did you say to her?
After they hung up, I didn't say anything to her. She said to me, she was like, you don't know him, like we're in love.
And you said to her?
Basically saying, I don't know him. So I was like, yes, you're completely right. I don't know him, but I don't want to hang out with him, basically is what I told her.
Well, was he coming over?
No, I was just telling her.
Okay.
Like,
and what's your version? After he hung up, let me hear your version of what she said.
Okay, so after I hung up, it was just practically some of what she said, but it was more in an aggressive way and with a lot of attitude. And
show me.
I get done with the phone and I'm cooking, and then she wants to like humble under her breath and like say like, I don't know, just rude things about the call and like just looking at me weird. And I'm like, what's the problem? And I was
Okay, so she's looking at you weird and you say, what's the problem? And she says,
I don't know. She was going off and about, and then she started throwing trash on my counter and then threw it at me.
Your Honor.
Yeah, you did.
That is not true.
No, I have to tell you something. So far, it makes sense. But then I don't want you to tell me she just went from nothing disrespect to throwing food around the counter. That didn't happen.
That did not.
Okay, so before she started throwing the trash on my counter, she was saying how that I had attitude, but I was telling her that I did not have attitude. I was trying to de-escalate the situation.
She had attitude. So far, we're not attitude. So far, she's mumbling.
No, that's what
you said
she
under
said.
her breath.
Yeah, and then so she, I don't know, she would, like I said, it was a snap of a finger. Like, I'd never seen her switch like that. And, I was confused. And then after she threw the trash, I told her to grab your stuff and get out of my house. And so I gave her time. She went in my room, grabbed her stuff. I waited by the door. I had it wide open. And she's just cursing and yelling and just like, I didn't want her in my house. And if I would have known she was like that.
No, let's not. Don't go down any tributaries. When you got out to the car, she had a brick in her hand. Was there any damage to the car?
Yes, I have photos, proof to the left driver's side, and there's a video as well of the neighbor's Ring camera showing her vandalizing my car.
Okay, I'll see the video.
Autumn Burke claims her former friend, Freya Brown, owes for vandalism and an assault. Freya is countersuing for an assault and filing a false police report.
There's a piece that I'm missing from this story, but let's say they're following your timeline. It probably makes sense as you got into an argument. You said to her, he's really not that way. He's really a nice guy, and I love him. And she said, well, somebody who really loves you doesn't say, I want to come over and hang out with your two good-looking friends. That could escalate into something that's angry.
Your Honor. Well, the thing is, when she did mention those things, they weren't calm as you expressed. Yes, they weren't. They were very aggressive.
They could have been aggressive, but that's... They were not. They could have been aggressive.
I didn't see a reason why it should have been that way at all.
Listen, I'm not saying I agree with you or not. But I'm saying that common sense dictates to me that if you're on the phone with somebody that you still like and that you're an on-again, off-again, and you can't come over today because I have two friends here. Oh, really? You have two friends? Maybe I'll come over and hang out with your two friends. She found that disrespectful. I actually find it disrespectful to you and disrespectful to him. You really have nothing to do with it, Miss Brown. Somebody else was being a schlemiel.
No, I mean, I wasn't saying like...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now you tell her to get out, open her things. She's out the door, and?
Well, no, she's not out the door yet. So then I have the door wide open. She comes, and then we're still, like, argumenting, and I'm trying to get her out of my house. She pushes me, and then I go back into... Yes, it is. I go back into the door, and then she starts hitting on my arm, like, hitting me, so I'm, like, defending back, and it was just crazy. Like, I didn't realize I had the door wide open for her to get out, like, peacefully. And
okay, so she pushes you, she puts her hands on you, you put your hands on her, pushing. And up until that point, there's a lot of maybe pushing, touching the arms, touching the hand, but nobody is injured. Is that a fair statement, standing at the door?
Well, I got assaulted because I have the pictures to show that my nail came off.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
Up until that time, did your nail come off during that time?
Yes.
Was it a real nail or a fake nail?
Both. both of my nails came off. Like it was
on the same finger, you had a fake nail over your real nail.
And it both ripped off.
Okay, I'll take a look. Okay, I see a black and blue mark here that's under here. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes. That's
and this is on your hand.
Yes.
What was this?
From blocking her hitting me.
What was she hitting you with?
Just her hands. Like she was just like a cat fight. Like she just went crazy, and so I was defending her out, trying to get her out of my house.
Okay. Did you respond to her hitting you?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have any photographs?
Yes, I do have.
I'd like to take a look. So I see a scratch above your eye and a little bruise on this part of your hand. Is that what it is?
Yes, on my wrist.
And then there's a bruise on, is it this part of your elbow?
My elbow, yes.
Okay, so now you're arguing with each other. You both get banged up a little bit. Now she's outside.
Yes.
And what did you do? You finally got her out the front door.
So after a few minutes, she called me and said, "Warning, I'm at your car." So when I heard that, I called the cops immediately, and I asked them to come down because I think she's gonna be vandalizing my car or God knows what. And then so when that happened, me and my witness, Jasmine, we walked down out of my house because I wanted to go see like if my car, like what was going on. And so as I'm walking out, my car's parked over here. Freya's over here. And so when I'm walking out, then I meet her right here and she has a brick in her hand. And yeah, she had a brick in her hand the whole time until the cops came, and then they arrested her, and they asked me if I wanted to file for assault and vandalization, and I said yes.
Okay, and when you got out to the car, she had a brick in her hand. Was there any damage to the car?
Yes, I have photos, proof to the left driver's side, and there's a video as well of the neighbor's Ring camera showing her vandalizing my car.
Yeah,
oh,
let me see the damage, and then I'll see the video.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'll see the video.
Okay.
Okie dokie. That's where you were arrested, Miss Brown?
Yes.
Have you ever seen that video before?
I have not.
You have not?
No.
Okay. Can I see the estimates to the damage
Yes,
to your
ma'am.
car? Tell me when you bought this car.
I bought this car on August 1st in 2022. It was my first car. I paid for it full, all by myself.
You paid for it in cash?
Yes, and a check.
Okay. How long had you been saving for the car?
Oh, I've been saving for it for years, like a few years, ever since I've been working.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid a total of, I believe, $7,300 and something dollars.
Okay. So the estimate to fix the car is $3,777.
Yes, ma'am.
And the next thing is the price of the vehicle, for which you paid $7,350.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Brown, one would say to you as a result of seeing that video, temper, 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 you may have a temper, you can't do what you did. Would you acknowledge that you can't do what you did?
Yes, I acknowledge.
Great. So that means that you have to take care of this problem.
She hit me first, Your Honor.
And we're not talking about hitting.
I understand.
I'm talking about vandalizing a car. She says the weapon was a knife.
It was.
And the knife was being held by you.
Yes, that's
So you took No, it's not in self-defense anymore, madam. It's not self-defense. She's out. She's away from you.
Autumn Burke has accused her former friend, Freya Brown, of vandalism and assault. Freya claims Autumn threatened her with a knife and filed a false police report.
Neither one of you were hospitalized as a result of this assault. You got a couple of black and blue marks. Two girls had a fight.
threatened me with a knife.
And that shouldn't have happened. But now the fight is de-escalated, and you went outside and purposely vandalized her car in a very, very aggressive way. And all I'm saying to you is you understand that that was temper. You're not allowed to do that, and you have to pay for it.
She also threatened me with a knife.
She what?
Threatened me with a knife.
Just a second. I didn't see that when you were out there by yourself picking up a brick, right?
Yes.
And that was a long video. I don't see her in that video at all. I just see you picking up the brick, not doing enough damage, picking it up, doing a little more damage, picking it up, going to another side of the car, picking it up, going to the front of the car. I don't see her there threatening you.
She didn't threaten me at that point.
Right. Clearly, when you left the house, that ugly confrontation had been de-escalated.
It had not actually.
Of course it was, because you were out there by yourself. You could have gone. And if it was an ugly confrontation, you go to the police station and you say, I left my license in my friend's car. We had a fight. Could you come back with me on a standby and get my license instead of using a brick to bash in her car?
My circumstances were different from Autumn's. I would like to inform you of that.
What were your different circumstances?
Well, I was supposed to be moving in 3 days, which Autumn was aware of. So had I called the police and been like, oh, I need this help, then I would have jeopardized my housing.
Oh, no, that's not true. Sorry about that, Miss Brown. If you called the police and merely said to them, I don't want to have an argument with her, that would not have jeopardized your getting into housing. Having this fight and vandalizing her car, that could prevent you from getting into housing.
That's what got me kicked out.
I'm just telling you, calling the police is not an issue. Going outside and for a period of probably at least 60 seconds and moving from different parts of her car and hitting it with a brick and bending down and picking up the brick again, that would prevent you from getting into housing.
I wasn't referring to the calling the police, I meant the fighting.
Oh, I'm not talking about the fighting. $37.75, that's the cost of fixing the car. Now, the only other issue that you have on your counterclaim is for being falsely arrested.
Yes.
I would arrest you for that. You should be. Listen, if I came out of my house and found somebody bashing my property, I don't care if we had a long-standing feud. Well, I have a long-standing feud with her. We had an argument. We had a fight, whatever. That is not the natural progression of having an altercation with an old friend, going out and vandalizing her car. So your countersuit for being falsely arrested is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,775.
Your Honor, I'm going to be rightfully for losing my housing during that process because of that incident, because of the transitional housing program I was in. I got kicked out of it, and so I had 30 days. So I believe I should be getting for that as well because
Where's the head of the Department of Social Services to testify before me that the reason you lost your housing, if in fact you did lose your housing, was because of this vandalism? You have a witness here to tell me that?
I have the 30 days notice, if that counts.
May?
Yes.
I'll take a look.
Oh, here it is.
This says, letters to give you written 30-day notice to move out of the transitional housing program. You were involved in a verbal physical altercation which involved a weapon with another individual and resulted in the police being called on September 1st, 2022. When you entered the program, you were informed and signed paperwork and agreeing to our program rules and expectations. Who was it alleged that had the weapon?
She had a knife.
I bought it as self-defense. I dropped it right when I saw you.
Just a second.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Just a second. No, but just a second. She says the weapon was a knife.
It was.
And the knife was being held by you.
Yes, that's
So you
self-defense.
took... No, it's not in self-defense anymore, madam. It's not self-defense. She's out. She's away from you. Your choice is to call the police and wait. Your choice is not to pick up a knife, because so far, this altercation has been a lot of tussling between girls that shouldn't have happened, but so far nothing involved a weapon. So you went outside with a knife, and according to the rules, you can't do that. And that was the reason that you lost your housing. because there's no other reason. It said it involved a weapon, and they listed the rules: drugs, alcohol, assault, danger, making threats. Well, you have a knife, that's threats, whatever. 3775, fix your car. You're not allowed to do that to her car. That's a hissy fit. Figure out how to do it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You should have been arrested for vandalism. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I was in shock. I was like, wow, like, over no reason, over my ex calling me, like, come on, like, we're adults now. I'm gonna move on with my life and just go up from here and not down here, where other people like to take me down to their level. I'm super thankful to have her handle my case today. She is a queen.
You know what I was really impressed with both of those girls, Sarah? You know, I know the foster care system, usually wherever it is, can be a brutal system to negotiate. And these two young women, at least on the surface, appear to have negotiated it in an orderly, reasonable way. I mean, she's living on her own. She evidently worked for a very long time because she saved up and bought her own car. That's a lot of response. That's a big deal.
And to even be able to figure out the system, which even as lawyers, sometimes we have a difficult time navigating things in the foster care system, to figure out this transitional program that better sets you up for the next step, that sets you up better for the next step. I respected that she took the time to figure out both their best possible options for navigating the system that they were placed in.
Both working.
Yes.
Both going to school to try to get themselves into a better circumstance. The defendant certainly is a biology major, which is fascinating
Not
to
our
me.
thing.
Not our thing.
Great for her.
But clearly, bright young women who made it to a place at age 19 that's really terrific. And supportive of each other, because one had a license, one didn't, so they were supporting each other. All very lovely. And get into a kerfuffle over nothing.
It shows just how fast all that work and all that preparation for the next step and for the housing can just crumble.
Can just unravel. Really sad. That's sad. But they seem like two nice young women, and I think that they have both of them have a shot.
Yeah, to make it back.
Albert Lee is suing pilot instructor Ed Meyer for damage resulting from Ed moving his plane.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2145, Lee versus Meyer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lee, you are an amateur pilot?
Yes, I was yes.
And you owned your own plane?
I bought it to train in, yes.
When did you purchase the plane?
In, I believe, April of 2021.
Did you buy it new or used?
I bought it used.
What kind of plane is it?
It's a Cirrus SR-22, 2010 type Golf.
What did you pay for it?
I paid $420,000 for it, I believe.
Is there a mortgage on the?
Yes, there is.
How much?
It's $2,204 per month.
You paid $425,000 for the plane.
Yeah, I put a down payment on it. The outstanding balance is $347,000. The payment per month is $2,022.
I don't need the payment per month. I just wanted to know what you paid for it and how much you put into the plane.
Yes.
The defendant is a pilot, licensed pilot, and he was giving you some training on the plane.
Certified flight instructor, yes.
It is your claim that at some point, you'll tell me when, that the defendant was operating the plane by himself. You weren't there, and he was moving it from one part of the FBO to another part, and he hit a cone and caused substantial damage to the propeller and the engine. And while you had your insurance did cover some of it, according to you, it did not cover all of the expenses, and you want Mr. Meyer to be responsible for that. So it's a simple question. Mr. Meyer, do you remember the date that you were operating the plane when Mr. Lee was not there?
Yes.
What date?
It was in April sometime.
April of 2022?
Correct.
Do you remember the date, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
What date?
It's April 22nd.
Would that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And from what I read in the papers, Mr. Meyer had, in fact, taken you out, but then the weather got bad. You decided that you would make your way home and that he would get the plane home when the weather was better.
Correct.
And that was on or about April 22nd.
I flew home on a commercial flight the day before on April 21st.
And you stayed with the plane?
Yes.
Now, Would you agree, Mr. Meyer, that if in fact you hit an object with the plane, it would be your responsibility?
Yes.
Because it would mean that there was some sort of negligence involved.
Right.
And then there would be the issue of damages. Mr. Lee, you were not present when this incident happened.
I was not.
Not present.
I was not present. I was able.
No, you were not present.
I was not present.
That's the answer. Was this witness present?
He was not present, but he was the one responsible for procuring the evidence on what happened and how the propeller was damaged.
Who does he work for?
He has his own flight school, and he also manages my airplane in terms of the maintenance and the upkeep.
Okay. Could you step up, please? Tell me your last name.
Last name is Williams.
Mr. Williams, were you charged with gathering the evidence to determine what happened to the plane on the 22nd of April?
Yes, I was.
And you're paid a monthly fee by the plaintiff to manage his plane.
That's correct.
Did you retain the defendant as an instructor, or did Mr. Lee?
That was both decided by Mr. Lee and Mr. Myers to fly for him.
But you
He's
did
an
not.
independent contractor. At that.
You did not have anything to do with, as the manager of the plane, you didn't have anything to do with selecting Mr. Meyer.
I did select Mr. Meyer to fly with Albert.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Because were you the one who introduced him to Mr. Meyer?
That's correct.
When, Mr. Lee, did you start to work with Mr. Meyer?
It was probably a prior flight where we flew to San Francisco for a business meeting I had. After that, I believe it was...
In what month?
Roughly about the same month.
In April?
Yeah, in April.
So you didn't know him for a long time?
No, not very long.
I'm going to get back to you in a minute, Mr. Williams. Prior to the defendant, had anybody else been an instructor for you?
Yes. Clinton was my primary instructor, but I flew with some other instructors as well.
But it wasn't until the month that this incident occurred that you had been connected with the defendant?
Correct.
Okay. Now, sir, how were you advised that the plane that you managed was in an accident?
I received a phone call from Ed saying that there was a problem.
From whom?
From Mr. Myers, that there was a problem with the aircraft after he taxied and did the run-up and returned the aircraft back to Signature in Las Vegas. We notified and contacted a...
Did you ask, what you would usually ask is what happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Just a second, and what did he say to you?
He said that he was having instrument problems with the aircraft and he wasn't able to take off, so he returned the aircraft. At that point in time, I contacted the Cirrus Service Center. I had 2 technicians go out and look at the aircraft, see what was wrong. At the time, the technicians found that they...
Don't tell me what they found.
Okay.
You can't tell me what they found. It's hearsay.
They send me pictures of the damage of the propeller.
May I see the photographs? Okay, so that's a fresh damage.
Correct.
Can I scroll this?
Yes, you may.
Or it's just one? Okay, so you have a picture of that. You have a picture of the cone that has a slice in it.
Correct. That's the object he hit. We also have a video showing the plane taxiing and hitting the cone at the top.
I'd like to see that as well.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what we got.
As you can see where the...
Just one second. Mr. Meyer, is that a fair and accurate representation of where the plane was before you moved it?
It should be on the last, on the far left side of that Learjet.
Okay. Oh. Mr. Meyer, do you see that you went over a cone?
It's interesting. I didn't even notice there was a cone.
You may not notice it, but you see it now.
Yes.
Okay. Your hitting of the cone caused damage to that plane. I mean, you're not talking about flying a 747. You're talking about a little single-prop plane. Yeah, they like those planes you put together, we used to put together with rubber bands. I wouldn't put my behind in one of those planes for all the money in the world.
Albert Lee claims pilot instructor Ed Meyer is responsible for damage after Ed moved Albert's plane.
Okay.
In all of my years of flying, which is pretty significant, I was an airline pilot too, I've never, ever experienced that in my life.
Okay, but you see it now.
Yes.
It's not an on purpose. It's, you know, that's why they call them accidents. We don't mean for them to happen.
Right.
We don't mean for them to happen, but you do see that the plane did hit a cone.
Right.
Okay, and I have photographs of the cone that has a slice in it, and the same kind of slice from one of the propellers. Now, so that's conceded that Mr. Meyer did, in fact, hit the cone, which in all probability caused damage to the plane, caused damage to the propeller. Now, tell me about your insurance.
The insurance covered the propeller. They covered the teardown of the engine. When something strikes the propeller, they have to tear apart the engine, make sure the components...
Do you have those,
that
paperwork for me? I'd like to see it.
Okay, so here is the insurance-covered portion, and here is my covered portion that I had to come out of pocket to pick up the plane.
Okay.
And I could explain both invoices. And if you flip to the last page, that'll have the total. Insurance covered about 60-something thousand for the propeller and the engine teardown.
Okay, so the damaged propeller, Mr. Williams, causes you to have to take apart the engine, fix the engine if there was damage to the engine. Am I correct?
That's correct. The FAA requires anytime you strike an object with a propeller, the engine has to be inspected in the component parts. So they
component parts of the engine.
Of the damage, potential damage of the engine. Internal damage that could be caused by striking an object.
Okay. The insurance covered how much, sir? Mr. Lee?
It's, it's on the invoice 60, I think it was 63,000, 64,000. It's on the last page.
The last page shows
a deposit of
$63,000.
Yes, that's it.
The deposit was 40, balance due was 23. Did the insurance company pay the entire 63?
This entire
$63,000. This was what was submitted to them.
Yes.
Okay, now I'd like you to take a look at this, Mr. Meyer. No, I'm going to actually ask Mr. Williams to take a look at this document. These are the items, Mr. Williams, that Mr. Lee says were uncovered. I would like you to go through all those items and tell me which of those items relate to the engine and which do not.
Okay, is this the total?
Carefully, because I'm going to potentially ask you about each individual thing, because there looks to me like some things that bear no relation to an engine.
Okay, so most of the items you see that are airworthiness on the airframe are the items that need to be inspected or replaced from the teardown. So your item 1, item 2, 3, 4, item 5, 6, 7, 8. These are all items that the repair shop goes through the engine and assesses whether it needs.
Well, tell me how the brakes would be impacted.
I don't think
impacted by hitting the.
Which invoice?
And I don't know. But how brakes would be impacted by hitting a nose cone.
Brake lining, I don't know what that is.
Okay. Yeah, some of these items, Your Honor, such as one of these items, the brake lines, as you pointed out, is probably not part of the.
Well, that's what I want you to go through, sir.
Okay.
Do you understand? I want you to take a marker, a pen, and circle, because I don't know a whole lot about airplanes, but I know a little bit about airplanes. I know what's routine maintenance and what has to be taken care of, because a plane either falls on its nose or falls on its tail, both of which I've experienced.
Well, this is a small invoice. This is not your. This is a 12.
Mr. Williams, don't ask him. I didn't ask you to have a conference with him.
Okay.
I asked you to look at that. You're the management company. I want you to strike those items that are not related to this accident and go through them very carefully, because.
Can I make a comment? Okay.
Nope.
To you directly.
Nope.
Okay.
Can I ask you something?
Can you ask me something?
Yeah. Well, they should tell you those cones are made of plastic.
I don't care. They're heavy cones. You hit the cone, and the plane flew perfectly fine before you hit the cone. It didn't run after you hit the cone. You don't have to be a genius to figure out the cone caused, your hitting of the cone caused damage to that plane. I mean, you're not talking about flying a 747. You're talking about a little this is a single prop plane.
Right.
Yeah. Me, they're like those planes you put together, we used to put together with rubber bands. I wouldn't put my behind in one of those planes for all the money in the world.
The only items I can see, Your Honor, are 2 items that may not be related to the accident, items 7 and 8.
Okay. May I have that back, please, sir? And you are familiar with planes, sir, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is item...
The circled item.
7 and 8.
Correct.
So we have...
There's a couple of...
We have right and left main gear, which is 143 plus 270 plus 66. What about item 9? Pitch, trim, jab, nut, loose. What is that?
Probably what they do during the inspection and the tear down, they go through the aircraft itself, make sure it's airworthy. So they probably caught another item or two. You can probably put that on item that's wasn't part of the accident.
The big ticket items, adding up all of these items, Mr. Meyer, that probably have no relation to the accident which you caused.
Correct.
Still bring the total amount to more than this court's jurisdictional limit. Can you tell me, sir, why your insurance, Mr. Williams, let's go back to you. You manage this plane. Can you tell me why Mr. Lee's insurance didn't cover all the damage to the plane?
A lot of the prospective renters or instructors that everybody uses, or we used in this case, carry their own insurance for this type of incident. Their insurance covers basically downtime, loss of operation, or in this case...
You mean Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Would have his own. Do you have your own insurance?
No.
No. Don't you do a check to find out if they have their own insurance before you recommend someone?
He had insurance, but it was lapsed.
If you have insurance that's lapsed, then you have no insurance.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you're lucky that he's not suing you.
Albert Lee is accusing pilot instructor Ed Meyer of hitting a cone and damaging his plane. Ed says Albert was already paid by his insurance company.
Okay. Mr. Williams, you were the one who recommended
That's
Mr.
correct,
Meyer.
we did.
Don't you do a check to find out if they have their own insurance before you recommend someone?
He had insurance, but it was lapsed.
Well, that he didn't have insurance. I get that all the time. If you have insurance that's lapsed, then you have no insurance.
Yeah. As a flight school, our instructors are required to carry the insurance.
Okay, but that didn't happen here.
That's correct.
So you're lucky that he's not suing you, because you managed the plane for him. And you recommended him, Mr. Williams, you know. But you have a management company that manages your plane. They're supposed to make certain that if you have a certain kind of plane, that you have pilots certified to fly those kinds of planes. And if they give me a list of pilots, and those pilots aren't certified to fly the kind of plane that I might have, then it's the fault of the management company.
In this case here, the plaintiff and the defendant were working together as far as their payment and the fees they were going to charge.
That's okay. They may have been working head to head. I mean, it was Mr. Meyer's fault, but I'm just telling you that Mr. Lee relies on your advice. What business are you in, Mr. Lee?
I do commercial real estate. I sell shopping centers and office buildings.
Okay. That's not his business. That's why he hires you. And if he hires you, he asks you for recommendations as to where to get the plane repaired for an instructor. Now, the fact that he may pay him independently, he's relied on you for information. So I suggest, Mr. Williams, that you tighten up your ship a little bit. Mr. Meyer, you're responsible to the plaintiff for the damage that you caused his plane. Why did you let your insurance lapse?
It had lapsed. I just didn't even realize the fact that it had lapsed. I just realized the fact that when this came about, that's what happened.
Well, when was the last time you paid premiums?
Probably about a year before that.
Anything else you want to tell me, Mr. Meyer? You owe him $10,000. You caused the damage. You have to fix it. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I understand her point, the fact that what she saw.
I thought she's very fair.
These cones are made out of plastic.
It's hard to believe. It sounds like a gunshot when he hit the cone and triggered several warnings. And for him to say he had no idea, it's a little bit hard to believe.
They don't have much weight to them.
With the loud bang after you hit it, it's quite obvious that you should have stopped and shut down and inspect the damage.
There normally is never a cone at the 12 o'clock position. They're at the left side and the right side.
They place cones all the way around the aircraft, and it's part of your responsibility to piloting command to do a walk around pre-flight, make sure there's no object in front of your aircraft.
When I taxied out halfway down, that's when I recognized there was an ICAS message that came on.
I finally got it back, and no more student pilots won't let any CFIs fly for a while.
You know what I thought about in this case, Sarah? That lay people have to look at something, lay people, and while I'm a judge and have certain expertise, I have no expertise in reading slips that show what's been done on a car or an airplane or a train or a boat.
But we have common sense.
But we have common sense. And your brakes are not part of an engine. Yeah. You know, you have an engine job, and then you have a brake job, and you have a...
I saw where you were going.
Different kind. And, you know, if you have an accident that impacts on the right driver's door, if you put in a new wheel casing in the left rear door, well, that has nothing to do with an accident.
Probably just an oversight. He did state that those two items were not part of, you know.
He did.
He did at the end, but it just feels a little uneasy when they try and slip those things in there, that just common sense doesn't ring true, that it comes from the sides.
Yeah, you know, front, back, you know, the head of a horse, the tail of a horse, it doesn't fit in. And there's really no difference between not having insurance when you're driving a car and not having insurance as a flight instructor. Yeah, that's pretty serious.
I would think there would be a more rigorous check on that before you get behind an aircraft, the wheel of an aircraft.
Absolutely. You would think that there would be.
Yeah.
As Florence
claims her son and his wife, Jacoby and Kelly Kelm, owe for the cost of a van and lost property.
All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2127, Kim versus Kim.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Kelm, this is your son and your wife.
Yes.
What's your first name?
Jacoby.
What do they call you?
Jake.
How old are you, Jake?
31.
How long have you been married?
7 years.
Prior to getting married, were you married to someone else?
Yes.
For how long?
5 years.
Did you ever live with your mother?
No.
When was the last time you lived with your mother?
I was 17, I believe.
Okay, so you had a reasonable relationship with your mother?
Yes.
Until when?
Until I'd say September of this year.
September of 2022?
Correct.
This is about a car. Is your claim that you sold your son a car and he didn't pay you? His defense is that it was a gift. There was never a discussion about payment. When you turned over the car to your son, according to what I've read, you signed over the documents that allowed him to register the car in his own name, which he did. So he registered the car in his own name. Is the car still driving now?
No, it is not.
Where is it?
It got scrapped.
When?
October 3rd, 2022, which I have the receipt for that as well.
When did your mother turn the car over to you?
May 31st.
What kind of car was it?
2006 Chrysler Town & Country.
What happened to it?
Transmission went out on it, and it had some electrical issues. It kept draining the battery.
Had you spent anything to have those issues addressed?
Not on the transmission. I did replace the battery 3 times.
Did you buy a new car?
Yes.
How much?
$700.
What kind of car?
2003 Nissan Altima.
Why don't you tell me the circumstances, Jake, of the transfer of the car from your mother to you? Tell me the date that happened.
I got the title on the 30th of
May.
On the 31st, I was able to transfer it.
Tell me about the conversation with your mother when she signed over the title to you. She says you were supposed to pay her some $800 for the car.
No, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me what the conversation was with your mother when she gave you the title. You came to her, you didn't have a car.
Right.
You didn't have a car, you needed a car. And?
She said, you know, the van's sitting over at the other property. It's just been sitting there for the last year. You can go over and if it starts, you can use it. And it did. She said, however, you cannot take the van until the title's transferred. Then at which point she gave me the title and the lien card for it. I went to the DMV, I transferred it, came back, got the van, and I was on my way. About a month and a half later, she was saying that if you give me $500, I'll put it in the safe for you, and then I'll just give it to you when you need it.
You have any communication with your mother about the car?
Not anymore.
I mean, communication in writing.
Oh, yes, I do. But nothing about payments. I mean, there was a few texts here and there saying, I want my money, or I'll take the van back.
I'd like to see that.
Okay. I might have one more in here. There's this one as well.
Jake, on September 3rd, Jake, you said, not sure what's going on with you, but this is getting ridiculous. I'll pay you when I have the money.
Right.
That's what you said.
Yep. I'm not saying I don't
yes.
owe her anything. I'm just saying I was going to give her something just to show.
No. So on September 3rd, you got the car at the end of May, so June, July, and August you had the car, and you said, I'm not sure what's going on with you. Maybe, Mom, you're having issues that I don't know about, but this is getting ridiculous. I'll pay you when I have the money. That's an acknowledgement that you owe your mother the money.
Correct.
Okay. And how much did you agree to sell him the car for?
Car was $800.
Okay. Tell me about discussing with him the cost of the car and what you were going to sell it to him for.
We were at my friend's house, and we were playing marbles and having a few beers like we always do. We get together a lot. And he didn't have a vehicle, so we discussed he could use mine. And at that time, he said, well, he'd rather buy it. And then I said, okay, I will sell the van, which I was talking to my daughter about. She wanted to buy it also. And I told them both it was $800. And you could shake your head, no, that's true. But it was $800. And he said, okay, could he get it right away? And I said, well, first of all, I can't let you drive it because you're not insured. And then we talked about he was going to buy it and he would take it. I said, you got to transfer the title first. So he did all that.
Okay, well, that's responsible of both of you.
Yeah, there's no way we could leave it, go with no insurance. So then they took the van, and I told them first I need to clean it out because I have a bunch of stuff in there. They said they would clean it out, but they needed a vehicle right away, and I said, okay.
When was the first time you asked him for money? $800 is a substantial amount of money.
He would get a paycheck and he would go to the casino or go to the racetrack or whatever. And I said, well, what about paying me some money?
And later today.
You sound like a really bright young man.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
You really should find something important to do.
I have changed sectors since then, Your Honor.
Holly Kelm claims her son and his wife, Jacoby and Kelly Kelm, owe for the cost of a van and lost property.
Okay, when was the first time you asked him for money?
In the summer sometime. I mean, we'd get together at my friend's house, and it's probably a month later I asked him, are you going to pay something on the van? I couldn't even say an exact date because, like I said, we got together, we played cards, and we would have a few beers with my friends over at her place, and then we'd discuss the van a little bit, discuss the money.
Just for my own curiosity, you've seemed to have, up until this point, a very fine relationship with your son and his wife. Is there something that interfered with that? I mean, $800 is a substantial amount of money, but odd to bring it to a lawsuit.
There is really nothing that interfered with our relationship except for him not paying me some money. And in between this time, and you both know this.
Don't look at me.
There's one text in here, do you have any money I could borrow? And well, I didn't have any money. I think I probably had 20, and I would give it to him. Because being a mom, I don't want to see him hurting, but I told him you still have to pay me for my car.
Okay. And he acknowledges that he would pay you for the car when I have it.
But he would get get a paycheck, and he would go to the casino or go to the racetrack or whatever. And I said, well, what about paying me some money? I said, can you at least give me $25 so I can pay for my medicine? I don't have it. Okay.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $800. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I'm glad at least I'll get my money back for my van.
There's a lot of things that my mom did say that were very untrue.
I love him. I will always love him. He's my baby.
You just don't sue family over something so stupid.
You know, I'm really happy that I finally learned how to text.
Yeah, and how useful text messages can be.
Because, I was late to the game with all this electronic stuff. Anyway, these text messages have become so vital to adjudicating cases because younger people memorialize everything, including what they have for breakfast and lunch and how they're feeling and what they're doing in text messages. But for the text message that he gave me, which said, I owe you the money, I'll pay you when I have it.
I think people, especially younger generation, think it's a flippant, I'm going to send this text really quick, or I'm going
to somebody on the phone.
Exactly, like it's a conversation, but they don't realize the legal implications of sending a text from your phone number, admitting a debt, even if that's not what you intended at the time you sent the text. Now there's this altercation, and you bring it to court.
Right, and it's memorialized in a writing, coming from your phone.
Got to be careful with what you text.
Yeah.
Case 2132, Eagle versus Ulrich. All parties, please step forward.
Tobias Eagle is suing his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
Mr. Eagle, you and Mr. Ulrich were friends. You were traveling together for business. What kind of business were you in other than this cryptocurrency?
First off, we weren't friends initially. We were first business partners, and we worked together underneath my mentor through his company, Symbio. Yes.
Okay, and what kind of business?
It was teaching workforce development for, I guess you could say, people who needed skills so they can be prepared for engineering jobs.
Okay, you worked at the same company?
Yes.
Okay, and when did you decide to go into this business together?
Around January to February 2021.
This has to do with cryptocurrency?
Yes.
Okay, this cryptocurrency business that you went into together, did you form a company or an LLC?
Yeah, I already had a company established. I was doing it more as a recreation, but...
So the answer is you and the defendant, when you wanted to go together into this business, did not form a separate company?
No.
So individually, it is your claim that you spent some $20,000 on equipment for this new company?
Yes.
And you were supposed to share whatever profits there were in this new company. And quite frankly, I know nothing about cryptocurrency. I am of the Charlie Munger school of cryptocurrency. I think it's all about the emperor's new clothes. And unless I can feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it, or bite on it, it doesn't exist. So I want you to know that's where I'm starting.
Yes.
Okay? So you're going to explain to me what the business was that you were doing with him that involved buying $20,000 worth of equipment, which you now say is in his possession that you want back.
Yes.
Cryptocurrency.
Okay. He mentioned that he knew how to mine cryptocurrency.
Okay.
That's how we
now
produced it.
I understand that those are the words that you use. Where is the mine?
May I explain cryptocurrency to you a little more too, Your Honor?
Oh, I'd love to hear you.
Okay, sorry. Mining is just a term for generating profits from cryptocurrency. There is no physical mine, as you may already be aware. It's not like mining gold.
Yes, it's not like anything. It's like the emperor's new clothes.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially, cryptocurrency...
That's why it collapsed.
Yes. Cryptocurrency mining is just...
You know that it collapsed.
Oh, yes, it collapsed.
Everybody knows that it collapsed.
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie Munger predicted that a long time ago.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially...
Do you know that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what you were involved in is a shill game of Emperor's New Clothes, which would have involved all of your investors. Who was it that created cryptocurrency? The Winklevoss?
I don't know who created cryptocurrency.
Brothers? I don't know. Not sure. In any event, somebody had a vivid imagination.
Yes, ma'am. But all crypto is we essentially use our computer resources, specifically a piece called a graphics card that is really good at solving equations. We essentially solve equations for money. That's really all mining is. And
You
so
solve
we generate revenue.
equations for money.
Yes, ma'am.
What equations?
I don't know the specific equations. Essentially, the equations are so complex that when you solve them, you're rewarded for your time and the effort that your computer put into it, and that's where the revenue or mining comes from. We essentially validate transactions the same way you might want to make sure that a transaction on your bank statement is legitimate. And so we were paid for validating these transactions.
You sound like a really bright young man.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
You really should find something important to do.
I've changed sectors since then, Your Honor.
You have equipment that he paid for?
No, Your Honor. I would actually like to
Just
get in.
a second. I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
asking a question. I thought maybe we could resolve this. Show me what equipment you purchased, sir, the receipts for it, and tell me where it is.
And so we're not here specifically for the GPUs that he claimed.
The what?
GPUs, graphic cards.
Just a second. Don't say anything to me, sir. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering with that.
Okay, no worries, Your Honor.
Yeah, no worries.
Tobias Eagle claims his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, owes for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
I contributed $20,000 in equipment, and by the first quarter of 2021, I am suing the defendant, Joshua Ulrich, for cryptocurrency profits and return or value of equipment.
Yes.
I'm not concerned about cryptocurrency profits, because I think cryptocurrency is a whole lot of who shot John. And the only ones that probably got skunked are any investors that you put into cryptocurrency.
Well, it still has value, so.
Well, you know something? You tell that to all the people who lost billions in the last 2 weeks. Would you mind just showing me the equipment that you purchased and receipts for it? I didn't ask you for anything.
Yes, Your Honor.
Equipment that you purchased. Okie dokie.
And so for this equipment, it was purchased through an auctioning site. And so they only have a year delay, and then that was the only information I was able to receive from them.
That's not helpful to me, sir. That's not helpful to me at all. I can't, what am I supposed to do with this?
That's just showing that I have proof that I purchased the equipment.
It doesn't show me how much.
It wasn't how much I bought it for. It was because I plan on rebuying the equipment. And so that's just proof that I bought the equipment and that he has it.
That a workstation, a Hewlett-Packard server.
Yes. And I have a price
one
break.
small pallet of miscellaneous battery backups.
Yes. And there were specifically 12
and
of those.
2 Dell towers.
Yes.
Everything here are things that you want back from him.
Yes.
You have nothing in your house of these things.
Of those things, no. Those are in his barn right now.
Okay. Do you have these things?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever have this in your possession?
Yes, at one point I did have it in my possession.
When?
I had it in my possession when we were at a shared facility that was in Rancho Cordova.
Now you're not in a shared facility anymore.
Yes, ma'am. Since we were in a shared facility, I have never had the equipment in my possession. Furthermore, the equipment that he's talking about has nothing to do with this case. This case is primarily around the assets.
You have no idea how simple I'm going to make this, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
He has receipts for certain equipment.
I have receipts for more equipment, and I have a very
Just a second. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering with that.
Okay, no worries, Your Honor.
Yeah, no worries. No assets.
No
there
problem,
are no
Your Honor.
cryptocurrency assets. Where is the equipment that you claim he has that belongs to you?
It's at, well, it was originally at his house when we moved out of the facility. I relocated all of it to his house. I have an inventory ran on the last day I was at his house, marked with the location, the equipment, and a lot of details. I would love to show it to Your Honor if that's acceptable.
Just a second. Do you have...
On that list? No.
No. Do you have any equipment at your house?
Yes.
What equipment do you have at your house?
The graphics cards that he's talking about.
So you have the graphics cards that belong to him?
No, they belong to me mostly. So I bought most.
What do you mean that they belong to you mostly?
I bought most of the graphics cards. He put in some money for some equipment expenses. And for my estimates, which I wish I could have asked him, was around $3,000 that he put in. And I put around $15,000.
How do you expect a court to dissect this business mess that you've created?
I'm not here for the GPUs or graphics cards. That's why I completely left them out.
No, but he has a counterclaim.
And that's fine. He can present it.
I understand that.
Sorry.
How do you expect somebody to pick apart this legal morass that you have, except to say that all of the stuff should be sold?
Understood.
I don't have any value of what you claim you spent for this because there are no amounts on it.
Yeah,
well, that's a problem.
I do have documentation, Your Honor, of all of it, and it's labeled who purchased it and the amounts. In addition, the second page here has the totals that he was talking about, and the documentation pages below that.
Great. There isn't a lot of very expensive stuff that you paid for, Mr. Ulrich.
There's not too much, no,
No, there isn't too much expensive stuff here, right?
Yes,
you know, We have something for $24, something for $15. You paid for the little stuff, he paid for the big stuff.
Two things, Your Honor, that I would like to mention. First of all, he did not purchase $20,000 worth of assets. This is a highly inflated number. I can actually prove this.
Just a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Just a
No
second.
problem,
I'm not awarding him any money. Each of you will take back the things that you bought. You didn't have a formed company together. It's not a company asset. It belongs to each of you. You're not in business anymore.
Yes.
So all I have to know is what do you have at your house and what do you have at yours?
He has everything, including all the physical assets. The only thing that I have at my house, Your Honor, or it's actually on my computer, technically, stored in a digital wallet. A digital wallet is the same thing as a regular wallet. This is just how we store cryptocurrency.
I don't want to care about that. I don't care about that. All I'm talking about is equipment.
I have no equipment at my house, Your Honor.
What equipment does he have in his house?
He has everything that's listed on that document that I gave you, and I actually do have proof that he has it because...
I'd like to see it.
So these are text messages from my roommate to his mother.
From who?
From my roommate. He was supposed to be here as a witness.
If he's not here, you can't show me texts from him.
He wasn't able to
Well, you can't prove something to me via hearsay from a witness who's not here.
It's not hearsay. It's just text messages that he gave.
That's hearsay by a person not here. You know, I actually don't think that you're ready to have this case tried. I can't help you. You say you don't have anything in your house. You can't tell me how much the item cost. If he said he doesn't have anything in his house, should I rule that he has to give it back to you and he said, I don't have it, I can fix the dollar amount, but I can't do that unless you have what you paid for it.
I have documentation here that at the value at which I have to pay to buy it back. Because since it was through an auctioning site, I don't remember, I had several auctions I bought most of that equipment from.
You can show me a bank statement where you paid money to an auction house. I just want to see an amount that you paid to the auction house.
I don't have that on me currently.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Your
Your
Honor,
case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the courts where you originally came from and see if they can help you any more than I'm willing to. Can't help you until you get your documentation together, sir. You're the plaintiff in this case. I can't award. You don't have anything if you don't have what you paid for the equipment.
But
he said he doesn't have the equipment.
And he's lying.
It may be, and the proof that you have is inadmissible here because your friend who authored those texts is not here.